The bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It is a Friday. We got the Friday free kick coming up with Michael Parkhurst at 9:30. We got Mike Conti joining us to talk about Inter Miami and Atlanta United on the weekend. We have, for now, this has been the proposed new name of the segment, the MLS Weekend Whiparound, the fastest 30 minutes you'll find on MLS. We got that coming up at about 10:30 as well. We got a little bit of things to jump into early on. We mentioned on our dispatches yesterday the Eric Ten Hag update at Manchester United, and now everybody's in a tizzy about it's going to take him 10 years, it's going to take him 5 years, it's going to take him 2 years. Blah, blah, blah. He needs to be top 4 next year. The reality show continues because that's what Manchester United has turned into. Just put your head down and play. Also, some other updates this morning. It popped off yesterday, and credit to Juli Michelis, friend of the show down in Buenos Aires at Lanús, covers Lanús on a regular basis, with the nugget that Rocco Rios Novo reportedly on his way back to Atlanta yesterday or maybe this morning. I don't know. He might have flown yesterday. I believe there's an overnight flight from Buenos Aires, and he could be in Atlanta as we speak. We talked about Rocco and the possibilities going forward, and I don't. For my opinion, hasn't changed in that at the end of last season, the option to trigger a transfer maybe wasn't necessary at that point, because of the progression of Vicente Reyes, because they didn't feel like Rocco was ready to be the number 2. He needed games. It wouldn't have made sense to bring him and be the 2. You had Reyes, who was going to get games. You were probably already deep along the line of signing Justin Garces. So you had people in-house. You didn't need to spend a large transfer on a goalkeeper when you had 2 coming up that you like. Well, your number 1's now injured, so situation done changed. And when you can go, and we talked about Ben Lundgaard in this conversation, John, when you can go and get somebody who is known to the club, was here last year, was here when Gonzalo Pineda was here, was with the 2s, but trained with the first team. He did feature for the first team a little bit very early in 2021. When you can go and bring him in, again on a loan, according to Michelis, not a transfer right now, but instead you go back to a loan situation where then you can figure it out. You've bought yourself a lot of time with a number 1 goalkeeper in Brad Kazan that you're going to give every opportunity to get healthy, with Bobby Shuttleworth, who is a longtime starter in this league, who can hold down the number 1 for now. And you bring in somebody who can push him as the number 2, who's a known quantity. Now, you are going to want to get him some games from time to time, and now you might have the ability, and I don't know how the roster supplemental spots will work out, but you might have the opportunity to kind of rotate between Rios Novo going to play for the 2s occasionally to get games to stay sharp, and Garza sitting the bench, and vice versa.
Everything that you mentioned, everything is checking off. Known commodity, check. Been here before, check. Experience in the system, check. Experience in listening to Gonzalo Pineda on a daily basis, check. All of these things are checking off. And you get that added little bit of experience with Rocco Rios Novo from his time at Lanús. Cesar Luis Merlo, I think, had reported that the initial, and this is from his Twitter yesterday, that the initial loan fee was, I think, $80,000 and $80,000 US, and a purchase option of close to $2 million. But that's just numbers to have as a part of this equation. But yes,
that's if that purchase option is slightly less than it was reported last time. I think it was closer to 3 last time. He's not playing at Lanús, so I mean, this is smart business for Lanús, because what's better for him to potentially bring in revenue to the club, playing in the reserves or going back to Atlanta? Mm-hmm. It's not a hard decision for them, and it all fits, it all clicks. Abby says, what do you think will happen with the summer transfer window? If you're talking specifically about goalkeepers, Abby, I would say nothing, because I think this solves your problem. Mm-hmm. I think that's why this is being done, and he's coming in to be the number 2 with the first team. So it's a different spot than what he was coming in to do last year, where he was the number 1 for the second team with the opportunity to get a deal to join the first team in 22. wasn't there, went veteran. Okay, now you've got the situation where it's a different situation. So you have to figure it out.
But everything that you've discussed, everything makes a lot of sense on a lot of different levels. Makes sense for Lanús, makes sense for Atlanta United.
It's a win-win-win.
Yeah, and so I mean that's the best way to describe it. It is a win on both sides, and you get somebody with experience. That we were discussing, who do you bring in for that particular hole in your roster, and the answer ends up being apparently Rocco Rios Novo.
Yeah, 4-card. I would assume he would go into an injury replacement slot for Gazan. That would seem to fit. Remember, Rocco does not count as an international player. He was born in Los Angeles. He's a U.S. citizen. In terms of, as Sheath asks, is he going to be the number 2 or just be competition for it? There's no competition for the number 2 because right now there isn't a true number 2. Garces is under loan to Atlanta United 2 right now. So until that would change, he can't really be the long-term number 2. So my guess is Rocco would be the 2. And look, as we know, in any situation, 1 versus 2, it's a competition. Bobby Shuttleworth is going to have the job until further notice because of it's 220 plus starts in Major League Soccer versus 0 starts in first division soccer in his career for Rocco. I like Rocco. I think Rocco's a good goalkeeper. And like I said, at the end of last season, when the purchase option wasn't picked up, I don't think it was because Rocco wasn't a good goalkeeper. It's, dollars and cents. And when you have 2 other young goalkeepers coming that you're not paying a transfer fee for, it's just smart business. But again, the situation's changed. And when you get him on a loan for that, and you're able to use the injury replacement spot, it's kind of a giant duh. It makes sense. It's good. I mean, and Byrne mentioned it on the Twitch pitch before. I was joking with Byrne because now he's trying to lobby for bonus considerations in the picks of the week competition for this, which ain't happening. That's a soccer over there thing. If you don't listen to soccer over there, you're probably better off for it. No, I didn't think this would happen because I just didn't know if they could make it all work. I figured Lanús would want, more than an $80,000 loan fee. But, credit to Lanús. This is smart for them, too, because even if it doesn't result in a transfer down the road, you're helping a club out that has spent a lot of money with you over the years. So, you're kind of retaining favored nation status if you're Lanús. And these are the kind of relationships you try to build. And, people want to take their shots, whatever. This is smart from the front office, and this is smart in the relationships that you have built with clubs to be able to solve this problem in a really good way. In a really good way. Good work by this front office for pulling this off. Because if you go to some other club that you don't have a relationship with, and it's like, yeah, whatever, pay us.
Ludogorets, yeah. I mean,
yeah, Ludogorets is going to say pay us. You go back to Lanús, it's like, well, we've done pretty well with you guys. We're willing to make a good deal for you. Let's solve this problem for you. It's good stuff. Sam wants this to be bringing Pedro de la Vega when he heals up as well. Hey, just saying. Atlanta might be first in line for some talents out of Lanús over the years because this is a nice little piece of business for everybody involved. So there were pictures on of Rocco's Instagram yesterday of him saying goodbye to his family. So, I mean, the reporting seems to be in line with everything else we're seeing. I don't know how fast you can make everything happen here. He had a work visa here last year, obviously. I do not know if that can be rolled over, if that is easy to switch, or if it was still valid. I have no idea on that stuff. Hopefully, it speeds up the process for a visa. But in the interim, you can use Garces on the short-term call-up that is now allowed. You can use him for 4 times to sit the bench. That should buy you enough time to get this done. The Open Cup game didn't count for that. It's 4 league games for that. So hopefully either Rocco can jump straight in and be the number 2 and you don't have to do it. Otherwise, you've got the short-term call-ups with Garces and Reyes, and you can rotate it to have your number 2 on the bench while you get the visa sorted out for Rocco Rios Novo. So, he's American. Duh, Burn. Thank you. I'm being stupid. He's American, so there's no work visa. So he's good. Yeah, he's all good. So he's American citizen. Duh. Thank you, Burned. Burned wins again. Okay, so question from Unite Chop Rise before we get into some other stuff. The Matthew Hoppe thing says, do we actually think Hoppe moves the needle for Atlanta in any major way if this pans out? I have no idea. I mean, Matthew Hoppe, we have no idea. We haven't seen him very much at the first division level. And this is what happens with anybody who can represent the U.S. men's national team who plays in Europe. If they have one game, then it becomes they're the greatest player since sliced bread. If they have a couple of games, then forget it. They are the Ballon d'Or next in line. And then if they have one bad game, then they're horrible and they should probably never play the game again.
Check.
Hoppe's so young and inexperienced at the first division level. I don't know what to expect at all. But if you're kicking the tires on him, one, he's available. Two, he would be a U22 initiative. So that gives you a lot of flexibility. He's not going to take up a big cap hit. And he probably be looking for the opportunity. He'd be a great weapon off the bench for sure. There's no way around that. He could play up top and stretch the field, I think. It's just the question is, does Mallorca want to completely cut bait and move on? Or would they want it to be some sort of a loan with a purchase option kind of deal? I don't know. But Unite Chop Rise, if anybody tells you that they know that Matthew Hoppe will score 20 goals for Atlanta United if he comes, they're lying to you. I don't know. I have no idea because I haven't seen him play in a style like Atlanta United plays, and I haven't seen him play very much at the first division club level, period, because he hasn't.
And I think that that's the key in all of this. Yes, he's with a club overseas. No, he's not getting any playing time. And that's, we talk about this with the national team folks a lot of times when you're trying to find, the roster that you're looking for and a starting 11 that you're looking for. You're looking for players in rhythm. Right now, Matthew Hoppe is not in rhythm because he's not playing. So you don't know what you're going to get from a Matthew Hoppe if you bring him over to be a part of Atlanta United. Yes, there's the shiny object in the billboard. Yes, he's had, national team duty and all that kind of stuff. But it's a name. Yes, we know the name. But how does he translate without having a whole lot of work right now with the resume? That, to me, is the biggest question in all of this. And, it would be a decent piece of business, you would think, with Mallorca trying to figure out, okay, it was $4 million. What's the negotiation there? If you try to bring him over, yes, he'd be a U22. That works out as well. But there are a lot of questions when it comes to what he can give you right now, just because he's not working right now a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, 4 games, 1 start at Mallorca. It's just impossible to know. One question that came in was the U22 initiative, is it limited to international players? No, it's not. It's just limited by the age. Yes, you could use it to sign homegrown players. They're going into a next contract and you want to pay them a ton of money to keep them. You could do that. You've got some flexibility here with that U22 initiative. It'll be curious to see how teams use it as they start to open up the different ways of using it. I'm with you, Tom. If people know exactly how somebody's going to perform, especially when they have a limited track record, you got a longer track record, you can make a more educated guess. But if you know that, you should probably get off the Bird app and you should probably go buy lottery tickets. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Burned watching Hoppe with Schalke says he didn't seem very technical, runs a lot, disruptive, not a playmaking forward. Not so sure he fits with Atlanta's current approach. Well, I mean, Burned, the thing I would say, I generally agree with you, but the thing I would say is when you think back to Joseph in the first couple of years, which is different than how Atlanta United is playing currently, but not, night and day. Joseph wasn't doing that, and he was the runner, and he was, disruptive with his runs and stuff like that. So it can be done. And it's also Schalke. So it can be done that he can fit. And look, maybe there's things in his game that he hasn't been able to do based off the club. And that's the question that we can never really answer with somebody with limited experience is maybe he hasn't done some of the things that he would be asked to do here in Atlanta because he just hasn't been in that situation. Walchar, you're completely and utterly changing the subject of what that crazy tweet was. That's not what was said, actually. So go back to get to the real heart of the story on that one. It's stupid, don't get me wrong, but they did not say that Charlotte wasn't a big deal over there. what the radio host was saying, who was wildly incorrect. First, he was upset that baseball was not included on a 4-thing survey from or Twitter poll from another host on the station. And the person said, I picked things that have a Charlotte link. And NASCAR was on there, and it shouldn't be on there. It absolutely should be on there. And this person got all mad and said, aren't we in America? Blah, blah, blah. Then things got taken out of context on both sides. Then the host started dialing in on the I'm going to be the antagonist here. Then all these other things. He never said that Charlotte wasn't a big deal over there. That part is 100% incorrect. That's creating narratives. What he said was he doesn't care about it and he doesn't like it. Good for him. He's a dinosaur and he's going to be left in the dust like the others who come out and say those things because you look foolish. There are plenty of hosts, and this is the thing that we talk about when we get into this stuff, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because then that host gets what he wants.
Right.
This is the thing that frustrates me about it specifically. I don't care if you don't like soccer. That's fine. That's completely fine. I don't love baseball anymore. I don't. But if I am in a situation where, one, my station has the rights to the local soccer team, I'm not going to badmouth it. If I'm on a station that has the rights to the local baseball team and I don't like baseball, I'm not going to badmouth it because that's dumb business. Period. And you have people who are big time sports personalities in this country who don't like one of the big 3 or big 4. That nobody really, gets worked up if somebody says they don't like hockey as much. That's fine. You don't have to. If you are a football guy and you don't really care for basketball, yeah, join a large group of people over here. But they also know that it's not good business to trash it generally. And same with baseball people who don't like football and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can go round and round. But if there's one of those guys, especially the older ones who don't like soccer, buddy, they think that's the thing because in 1985 it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. And does it get clicks? Yep. Does it ruin your credibility long term? Yep. Do these people eventually get forgotten about? Yep. Don't worry about it. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. One thing, hey, Domer, I will tell you this. I know you're not a fan of Mike Bell. That's completely fine. Not everybody is. Mike has actually been one of the most positive people towards soccer at 92.9 from day one. Big Chelsea fan, actually, Domer.
He wears jerseys all around the office.
He's a big Chelsea fan. And I get if you don't like his shtick and all that. And look, it's not for everybody. That's fine. Mike's always been good to me. But Mike has actually been somebody who has 100% loved supporting soccer. And he has brought it up. And this is the point that I would make to the Charlotte radio host, and I'm not going to give them the credit for their little tirade. They said that if you talk MLS, you don't get ratings. Go ask Dukes and Bell, who are one of the best drive time radio shows in the country. And they have me on to talk MLS. I don't think the ratings drop because they keep having me back. They have Darren on. They have players on. Mm-hmm. They talk about it in their own segments. Funny how that works. That's where you get into the flat out lies because you don't like something. Look, Carl Dukes is one of the most respected radio people in the country. Carl Dukes wrote an article, done interviews where multiple times he has mentioned that we talk about soccer on our show because it's what our listeners want. Last time I checked, you get ratings. So you treat it right, you're going to get ratings. If you don't like it, if some people in your audience don't like it, they're probably going to live with it now because it's not 1985. So whatever. All good. No, Domer, all good, man. All good. All good. And look, we all have our things about like hosts and people we don't like. I know there's people who don't like me, and that's completely fine. There's people who listen to the show who don't like me, don't like the way I come across or whatever. That's cool. That's okay. We all have what we like and what we don't like personality wise. But, it's just, I feel like when you do something like that, what this person in Charlotte's done, you're not helping yourself, your employer, any of it. So it's like it's really similar to what I said about Charles Barkley. when he did the thing about the U.S. men's team. The difference is this radio host has actually had people come on to talk about Charlotte on his show that he says doesn't get ratings. That's kind of kicking people after they've been on your program, and kicking other hosts, and kicking something that your station is airing. Yeah. Not smart.
It's not good form.
Not smart. But do your thing. Be caveman. All good. All right. We got Michael Parkhurst coming up here in a couple of minutes. We've got other things to talk about quickly in terms of rumors. Chris Armas going to leave Manchester United. Not a surprise. Erik ten Hag's going to bring in his own staff. Wonder where Armas ends up, and does he come into the possibility of a San Jose, not DC, because DC fans erupted when he almost became their manager before Losada.
True.
Maybe San Jose, but I'll tell you what I'm hearing in the grapevine, and I'm not somebody who generally has sources and all these people, and it had nothing to do with my meeting yesterday either, that we didn't have a live show. From talking to folks, Hugo Perez, I wasn't sure if he wanted to leave El Salvador, and I thought he might want to stay and try to see that project through to the World Cup in 26. Not what I'm hearing. He was at the Generation Adidas Dallas Cup event like everybody else was. Like everybody in soccer except for me was in Frisco for all of that. But Hugo Perez is very interested in coming to MLS, it seems. And the way, look, his name has come up in San Jose and in DC. It's come up from people who are probably hearing from people who are related to Hugo about what he wants to do, trying to gin up some interest and all of that. So Hugo Perez to DC would actually make a ton of sense. You have a large Salvadoran community there. Hugo Perez knows the youth game really well. He knows youth development. He knows MLS. He knows North America. He's somebody that I think would rally the fan base in a big way. It'd be a great hire. And it sounds like he's very interested. So I wasn't sure if he would. What I'm hearing from folks is that, yeah, he would be. So we'll see if DC goes in that direction. I can't imagine it would be a crazy expensive move either. And we know that budget is a little bit of a consideration when it comes to DC United. So we're going to talk about DC. We're going to talk about Atlanta United. We're going to talk about Atlanta and Miami with our guests coming up right now. It's the Friday Free Kick, brought to you by Beyond Goals Mentoring. Michael Parkhurst joining the show. How are you, Mike?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. Let's start with DC and the news this week. I think it caught people by surprise in different ways. Hernan Losada doesn't get to halfway through year 2. You're getting all the usual stuff when there's a managerial change now. What was good? What was bad? Who was shocked? How it went down? I'm really confused, honestly, by how this has all gone down, because you're hearing different things from different folks. What's it like when you get to this situation in a locker room where a manager that some players have come out and said, they really loved what he did for them and all the work that he put in, but you're also hearing he was a very demanding, difficult guy at times?
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to depend on, who that player was and how much success they had, right, under him. That's what it's going to boil down to. Of course, every coach has got some particular relationships with certain guys on the team. Even you see the same thing in San Jose, right? I mean, it's the same thing with coaches in Atlanta that have come and gone as well, right? Some coaches do well for a guy's careers, right? Give them a chance, give them confidence, they get a boost. Of course, those guys love those coaches and are sad to see him go. And other guys can't stand that certain coach for whatever reason. But I had heard some things out of that camp, so I'm not particularly surprised. It's always tough to see somebody let go in the middle of the seasons. It's unfortunate, but it's not a surprise up in DC, honestly.
It felt like, and we talked about this on Tuesday with Dylan Butler from MLSsoccer.com after the Almeida news came out, which maybe was a surprise in the timing, but not a surprise that it actually happened. It probably should have happened coming into the season. But DC was a team that I had kind of noticed. I felt like they had regressed. I didn't feel like they had moved forward since Losada had taken over. And this season especially, there just didn't seem to be much of a, I don't know, spark, togetherness. It felt like they were languishing. And he was next on my list, but I didn't see it coming the next day.
Yeah, there's just some really strange choices right now, I think. Like DC, you have one of the leading goal scorers in the league, and then you're looking to move on from him in the offseason. And Columbus is doing the same exact thing with Jossie. And it's like, that causes problems in the locker room. And obviously you see it, right? Both these teams are struggling, DC and Columbus. And I don't know, it's just really strange to me to move on from someone that's having success that doesn't cost a ton. And both those strikers are good guys, and they work their tails off on the field. It's not like they're prima donnas and,
right,
like some other number 9s in the league. So yeah, just really strange, but things like that can cause friction in a locker room, especially if those guys are liked. So yeah, some questionable choices. It's always difficult. You bring in these Argentine coaches and they do things a lot differently, as we know. And that can rub guys the wrong way. And if I don't know what the control issue was up there in DC, but that can always be an issue as well. So yeah, hopefully, I guess from Atlanta perspective, hopefully they don't turn it around. But I got some friends on that team, so hopefully they are able to turn things around slightly.
For sure.
So, Michael, this could apply to a coaching change. It could apply to a losing streak. But I guess this is my mentoring question early on here. And in a situation like this, where you have a moment that, shocks a locker room or gives a jolt to a locker room, how do you as an older player, and how do those friends of yours and other compatriots that are the veteran players, how do you put your arm around the younger players to sit there and have them understand that, yes, this is part of the deal. We have to just continue to focus on the task at hand. What's that moment like, and how are these conversations with these younger players when you have a jarring moment like we're seeing in DC and San Jose?
Yeah, I think sometimes it does rejuvenate a locker room, right? It's like, okay, now it's, it bonds the team a little bit together. It gives them a rallying point. And whether you liked the coach or not, it doesn't matter now. It's in the past, right? And for everyone, it's a new opportunity to impress a new coach, even though it's an assistant that's already been there and already knows the guys. It doesn't matter because you don't know that guy's true thoughts on anything, right? He was hidden behind the head coach. I had an experience in Denmark where our first team coach moved on and the assistant was taking over. And I thought, oh, this isn't good for me. Like, I don't think he really likes me. And it turned out the guy loved me. And it turned out to be a blessing for me. He liked me more than the first team coach. And so it really worked out for me. So you just never know. So guys that are maybe complacent in their starting positions, it gives them a little bit of a jolt because, hey, things might change now. And young guys, it gives them a new opportunity to impress. So, I think that's why sometimes when you see a coaching change, all of a sudden you see a locker room that's rejuvenated because like, okay, everyone now needs to be at their best if they want to be in the starting lineup.
So let's go back to last weekend just a little bit for Atlanta United. The injury to Brad and just, your reaction to it. And Brad, he's going to give everything he possibly can to try to get back. I've talked about it on Monday. My heart just sank when I saw what it was because it's pretty clear early on that it was the Achilles and that it could be a serious long-term thing.
Yeah, we were away for the weekend, so I didn't see the game live. So I was checking Twitter afterwards and I saw the news and yeah, just stunning. Really sad. Go back and I watched the video and I'm like, God, it wasn't even balls on the other side of the field or something like that, or midfield, and it's like, dang. But yeah, it stinks. That's a really tough injury, obviously, a tough one to come back from, especially given Brad's no young man anymore. But he seems upbeat about it. He's a positive guy, and so he's looking at the bright side of things. And I don't think it's career ending at all. I think he's going to bounce back, and I think he's going to be back next season and playing. But yeah, it's unfortunate for a team, obviously, to lose probably your two biggest leaders on the team. I have three now, I guess, actually, with Ozzy, Brad, and Joseph, even though Joseph's not lost for the season, just for the time being, right? It leaves you without, some veteran presence out there and leaders, so that's unfortunate. But again, it's a rallying for the team, right? It's these injuries, like you think you're invincible out there sometimes when things are going well and guys are healthy, and an injury like this, or even Ozzy, and you look at things a little bit differently. Like you enjoy your trainings, you enjoy the games a little bit more. Like you complain a little bit less because you're just thankful that you're healthy, you're out there doing what you love and playing soccer. Unfortunate, really. I feel for Brad.
We've talked about the armband and just how it's different for different people. And right now, it's going to be Miles, it appears, for the time being. And, there's not a whole lot of options because, like you said, the three leaders are out, at least temporarily, with Joseph out. How would you describe wearing the armband for somebody who doesn't understand it? Because it's more than just wearing something on the game day and standing there for the coin toss. There's a lot of responsibility that goes along with it. And somebody like Miles, who hasn't really been that person for a long period of time, what's he walking into?
Yeah, I think there's just a little bit more eyeballs on you watching at all times, on and off the field and how you carry yourself. And I think there's a certain expectation of, if he's the captain, he's, does things the right way. And, but the important thing to know, I think, for Miles and for anybody is like, you don't have to become someone else when you're the captain, right? You stay within yourself. There's so many different ways to lead. When I was captain of Columbus, I didn't do the pregame speeches. I didn't, I'm not really that type of person. I didn't enjoy it. So Will Trapp did the pregame speeches, like just wasn't in my style, right? It was just to go out there and lead by example. Like in Atlanta, Tata kind of forced it. So I got more used to it and, grew into it. But I don't think Miles has to all of a sudden be someone that he's not. I don't think that'll lead to success, and guys will know that. The most important thing I think is Miles is a good human being. He's a good guy, does things right on and off the field, and guys respect him. They respect how he does things and who he is as a player and a person, and that's enough in and of itself.
Because I think in talking to players after the Open Cup match, I think it was Alex DeJohn who basically said that once Gonzalo Pineda gave Miles the armband, the extent of Miles's pregame speech and getting everybody ready was, all right, let's go. And that fits Miles. It's just like, all right, we're going to do it. And we're going to get out there. And to your point about not being somebody or not developing into someone that you're not, the support system is going to be there too, because Brad is still going to be coming to practice and he's still going to be that vocal support. He's still going to be part of the team and part of team activities. So, the new guy will still have that support system that's attached to being the captain and still having that new experience of wearing the armband.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you don't have to lean on Miles to do things that he's uncomfortable with. And if a pregame speech is one of them, then somebody else can step up, right? It doesn't matter who's talking, really. It's more the message and, the camaraderie of it. I think you're right. He's going to have Brad there. Joseph's still around. He'll be coming back in a little while. And, I think that if he was fit, he might be in the conversation to wear an armband as well. He's got other guys around him. And like I said, I think everyone knows Miles and what type of person he is. And that's most important. And he's the way he carries himself and does things and the way he plays on the field, being one of the best defenders in the league. Guys respond to that and they respect that. And so I think he'll do just fine.
So you had the Open Cup game in the midweek. Sometimes those can be a pain. Sometimes those can be an opportunity to kind of get right. I think for Atlanta, it was that. You finished your chances. 6 shots on target, 6 goals. Didn't have to expend too much energy. You got the early goal and you move on in the tournament. And now they prepare for a trip to Nashville, which won't be easy in the round of 32. How do you think the Open Cup game in the midweek might be able to help this team going forward?
Yeah, I think it was big. I mean, like you said, you never know in these Open Cup games. It doesn't matter who you're playing, what league they're in. It can be challenging. I think we had the benefit of being at home, sort of. But that doesn't guarantee anything either. I think that the mentality they showed and the way they went about the game was impressive, right? You see MLS teams losing even last round to some of these lower division teams, and it's just challenging. And worst cases, you play 120 minutes and lose, or even 120 minutes and winning PKs and stuff. It just takes a lot out of you, and it puts you in a tough spot for the weekend. So I think it was an ideal spot as far as getting some goals in, which have been a little challenging to come by. Araujo looked great out there, which was really nice. So you get the clean sheet, and you give the goalkeeper a little bit of confidence as well going into the weekend. So all in all, I think it was a perfect midweek game. Couldn't have gone any better, honestly.
Do you remember off the top of your head what your wildest Open Cup experience was? Because we all talk about the Open Cup and the lure of it and what it means to the fabric of soccer. What's your wildest Open Cup experience that you can think of off the top of your head?
Golly, that's a good question.
Was there something that was like the verge of a cup set? Was there an environment that was kind of off the beaten track when you got to play against the team? What was whether it was an environment or a match? What comes to mind when you think of Open Cup? What comes to mind?
I think of like red cards, penalty kicks, long bus rides. In Columbus, we got a red card like early on in the game, and it's just like worst case scenario, right? Like that's a tough challenge, right? When you're playing against these lower division teams, and like sometimes you're like, of course you want to move on, but you're like, I want to expend as least amount of energy as possible because I have a bigger game on the weekend. And it's like you get an early red card and you're like, son of a gun, this has just got so much more difficult. We're all going to have to work so much harder. Of course, like we battled 0-0. I think it went into overtime. So you get an extra 30 minutes. I honestly don't even remember if we won in penalties or not. But those are the types of things like you just never know. And it can be so challenging. Yeah, I'm glad those guys took care of business and got away easy and light because it does set you up well for the weekend.
Yeah, that was the key. Inter Miami didn't really get away too light with theirs. They had to work facing the Miami FC. 1-0. They got a goal kind of late, but they come in hot. They've won 3 in a row after really struggling early on. Leonardo Campana, they've got a forward up top who's young, who's scoring goals. This won't be an easy one for Atlanta on the road, an early start on Sunday.
No. Do we know if Higuain's playing?
Last I saw, it was still questionable. I think Neville's talking to the media today, but I don't know if they've definitively said anything yet.
Well, what's funny is I probably hope he plays.
Maybe.
I don't know. It seems like, they've been more successful when he's not playing. But yeah, no, I think that in the last 2 MLS games, for sure, they've had the same lineup and played, pretty well. 2 good wins against 2 good teams.
Yeah.
So they're going to be confident for sure. Playing at home, and it's that'll be a tough one. That'll be a challenge, but a game that I think that if we are up for it and playing well and confident and finishing our chances, that we can win that game. Right? That when I look at Miami's roster, I'm not like overwhelmed. It's a good roster, but it's nothing top of the table.
Yeah, they will be missing Gregory, their central midfielder and captain. He's out on yellow card accumulation. First yellow card accumulation of the season. Pretty early for that. One thing I wanted to ask you, these early starts on the road, they can be a little tricky in general when you're playing a 1 o'clock game like this, even if you're at home. But when you're on the road, is that a good thing to get it over with early and not have to sit around the hotel all day? Or is it just so weird that you're not used to playing that early?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that you have it in Miami. Usually that's that's a Canadian special.
Yes,
and you go up there and play at like
so
noon or 1. Yeah.
Right.
But it's just weird because you're waking up and you're having your pregame meal. And so do you have breakfast or do you have lunch? You walk in there and some guys that have just woken up are smelling chicken and pasta, and some guys like that's the last thing they want to look at as soon as they wake up, and
Right.
other guys are want breakfast, and so it's just a kind of a weird dynamic. It throws you off a little bit because you're not used to having to make that decision about what you eat. We become such habits of or creatures of habit where it's like, hey, I'm going to eat this before a game, but then shoot, can I eat that at 9 o'clock in the morning without feeling sick? So that's a dynamic to it. But sure, if you get out of there at 3 o'clock and with a win, you feel like, oh man, I love a 1 o'clock game. I've got the rest of the day. I can get back and still getting home for dinner or whatever.
Oh yeah, from Miami, you're home at 5, 6 o'clock. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. Got a good night's sleep. So in that sense, it's nice. I don't know how hot it's supposed to be down
I was
there,
going to
but
say, 1 o'clock in Fort Lauderdale,
It's April though.
I know. Although it's supposed to be 80 up here in Ohio this weekend, so I don't know about in Miami.
Let's take a look. Sunday, 82 is the high. 1
weather
o'clock,
Okay.
it looks like it'll be 81.
with matching humidity, and it just zaps it out of you sometimes when you're playing in April as opposed to like a July where you're having 20 25 minutes in you get your hydration break. But that stuff, you mentioned early start plus the heat plus the humidity. This could zap you in a bunch of different ways.
It just gives you less time to hydrate up, right? Because you sleep all night for 8-9 hours not drinking anything, so everyone wakes up dehydrated, and so you've just got less time to get your body prepared for a kickoff, right? You can only drink so much water, otherwise it's going straight through you before the game. So in terms of preparation, it's not the best, but hey, both teams got to deal with it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, these are situations where that sports science department comes in really handy in trying to get guys with everything you need before you go to sleep, as early as you wake up, everything you can do to be ready to go.
Exactly.
Are you, with these early starts, we talked about that, are you a breakfast guy regardless, or do you gravitate toward the chicken and pasta and just understand that that's my breakfast / brunch? I know that this is my routine. Did your routine, change at all with early start times, or did you stick with what you did?
No, it changed a little bit. Like I remember I think we had a noon kickoff in Montreal maybe one time, or I don't know. It was early.
2017, it was a really early kick in Montreal. I remember that.
It might have been one. But no, I think I change. Yeah, because I am a breakfast person. I don't miss breakfast. I love breakfast. I always have a big breakfast. So if I flirt with it though, like if it's a 2 o'clock game and I can have pregame meal at 10:30, then I'll wake up early, have breakfast at like 7, and then have a lunch at 10:30. But for a 9:30 breakfast, I'm not sure I'm waking up at 6 to have breakfast and then have lunch at 9:30. You don't want to mess with sleep either. So I think I'm having eggs and bacon and that type of thing.
It's tough. These decisions, you don't think that's a big deal. People might be listening and they're like, what kind of a difference does it make? But it really changes the way your body feels when you get into that game, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the things I talk about with the mentoring. I'm like, habits and routines are so important, and they can just set your body up, right? Your body knows, okay, oh, today's a training day because I'm doing this, 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 and this. I'm about to go train. Or, hey, today's a game day because I've been doing this the whole day, and okay, and now I'm eating this at this certain time. Like your body just gets used to that type of stuff, and not only that, but like how to digest it, how much to eat. It's down to a T, really. And then all of a sudden you switch it up, and some guys on game days usually aren't even waking up until 10 o'clock. Never mind, up at 9 o'clock for a meal. So yeah, it does change things a little bit, but I'm not making excuses. These guys are professionals and you get on with it, and they need to do what's going to help them the best. And that's why you'll see everything from, pancakes to grilled chicken on a meal like that.
It's just one of the challenges. Every game's got its own challenges, whether it's something about the opponent, whether it's something about the weather, or something about the field, especially if you're at Yankee Stadium, something about conditions. Every game has its own things that teams have to deal with. On the field with this one, you've got Emerson Hyndman coming back healthy. You've got Luis Araujo coming back healthy. Feels like Gonzalo Pineda, even with the injuries that he's had to deal with, has a few more choices in what starting 11 he goes with this week.
Yeah, which is nice. It's always nice to have those options. And it's nice that, I think that if the game didn't go as well as it did, you might have a debate at the number 9 position too. But, I think that, based off of the midweek game, you start Dwyer again. And but it's nice Emerson coming back. I don't know if he's ready for 90 minutes. But, it's nice to have him. Same with Luis. I don't know MLS game like that. What the minutes are, but it's nice to have these guys available because those are key guys, right? I mean, Emerson had he been healthy and fit and everything, he might be a starter no matter what in that lineup, and obviously Luis is when he's healthy. So yeah, when you add talent like that back to the lineup, it's helpful, even if they're off the bench, right? It just gives you an idea of like, hey, if somebody's struggling, early on, early in the second half, you've got, good opportunities on the bench where you don't have to, stick with your guys for 80 minutes. So yeah, a good problem to have for sure.
What have you thought about Atlanta United on the whole this season to this point? I mean, right now, 4th in the East. With all the injuries, you haven't had Joseph and Marcelino and Almada and Araujo together for any training session at all. The 4 of them haven't appeared in a training session together, but right now you're still 4th in the East. What have you thought about them so far with everything that they've faced to get to this point?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was thinking about that the other day where I was like, man, I don't think the season is going that well. Just, I don't know, just the way things have gone a little bit, some of their performances, some of the injuries, and you just think, oh, it's kind of been a struggle. But then you look at the standings and you're like, well, shoot, they're right towards the top. So, I think given all of that, you have to like where you sit right now. I think that we can play a lot better. We can score a lot better. Injuries are there. But, everything said and done and what the team's gone through this early on in the season, I think we're in a great spot. So that's really good, really positive, I think, because it's important that when things aren't going great, that you're still able to pick up points here and there. And honestly, I think that, when we look back for the first month, 6 weeks of the season, you think it hasn't been awesome. But yet we're right there at the top. So, I'm feeling pretty positive about things.
Last one from the Twitch pitch. They get the last question today. Bernd Dursberger with one for you, since you've played in both MLS and in Europe. He wanted to know how the intensity of the training sessions compare, and is it really that different between the coaches you've had, whether they've been American coaches, whether they've been European coaches, whether they've been South American coaches like Tata Martino? And is that intensity level in training, is that some of the root cause of these conflicts like we talked about earlier with DC?
Some of it, yes. It really comes down to the coach. It doesn't matter, over in Europe or here in the US. I would have said something differently 10 years ago. Like when I started in MLS, the level of play from guys number 13 to guys number 23 was very low, where today it's not. And I think that's the biggest jump in the quality of MLS, right? The overall roster is so much stronger than it was. So when I went over to Denmark, trainings were more difficult because those guys, 13 through 23 were much better. But now that's not the case, so now I think it's just down to the coach. I mean, Greg Berhalter's sessions were very intense, but they were very short, right? Always right. Guys were like, oh my God, can we do extra? Can we do extra? We want to work more. And he was like, no, that's it. Off the field, in the locker room. With Tata, it was different. Like we were out there a lot and we had longer training sessions and they were intense. So everyone does it a little bit different, depending on where they come from usually, or just, how much they believe in sports science, a little bit, how much of an influence those guys play in trainings, because it used to be, right. The more you train, the better you'll be. But now it's not the case anymore, right. You try and train hard when you can. But otherwise, it's a long season. A lot of it is like, maintaining your body, maintaining fitness and being fully prepared physically for the game on the weekend, rather than, showing up, 80%, 90%, rather than 100% fit, ready to go, full energy. So there's a balance in there, and some coaches care more or do a better job of, taking care of that balance.
You've seen that change with coaches too, where, you had back in the day a lot of fitness work without the ball, a lot of sessions that didn't include the ball. Now, you have plenty of coaches who everything's with the ball. Everything is about the ball. And I'm sure you get players that react differently to different types of coaching.
Definitely. And a lot of it is based off of what you're used to, right? When Tata came in, it was like all the Americans were like, oh my God, this is nuts. These guys are crazy, this and that. Or all the Argentines were like, yeah, this is normal.
Right.
And to your thing about fitness, it's so different, right? In Denmark, it was like all positional based fitness, right? It depended on where you played on the field, what type of fitness you were doing when we did fitness. But then in Germany, it was like, oh, we were going for 45-minute runs, like in the woods, no balls. We were just going like, sometimes it was just one pace. Sometimes it was 20 minutes of like interval running and then 20 minutes of one pace. It was just all long stuff, versus, some of the other stuff is just like sprints and recovery and this and that. So yeah, you get the whole gambit for sure when you play with different coaches in different countries. And, but that's part of the experience.
It's fascinating to dig into that side of it, because every coach, every country, every club, every league, they all have their different ways of doing the same thing. It's all about getting the team ready to play on the weekend, and they get there in so many different pathways.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the time. I know things are going great with Beyond Goals mentoring. Caught up with Greg yesterday, and things are moving forward very, very nicely. Everything sounds great for you guys right now. Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, we're really happy with how things are going. Excited about it. It's seems like we're making a good positive impact on a bunch of kids, which is the goal. And it's helping us become better mentors as the more we do it. So yeah, we're really enjoying it. Happy with where things are right now.
Well, thanks for taking some time for us each week. We really, really appreciate it. We'll be talking soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Be good, Mike.
Michael Parkhurst. Make sure you're following him on the Twitters, and make sure you're following Beyond Goals Mentoring. It's beyondgoalsmentoring.org, BG Mentoring on Twitter, Beyond Goals Mentoring on Instagram for everything that they are doing. John, you got to tell us about our good friends over at Eliminize right now.
I can do that. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. QR code over my left shoulder. For those of you watching on Twitch, for odor for clean, fresh air, there's one place you need to go. It's Eliminize Service, deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Eliminize has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors like those pet cigarettes and food, just as examples. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process that makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way, and we like green, way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue, considering that I believe today is Earth Day 52. Eliminize is different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents, because those masking agents, all they do, mask the odor. They don't attack the problem. Eliminize does that with their proven scientific formula all the way down to the molecule. Pricing's easy by using either cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, go to the website, eliminize.com, but do us a favor. After the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from to end the sentence in a preposition. So your assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH.
Mike Conti joining the show right now. How are you, Mike?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Have you recovered from your action at the Fraction, Mike?
Oh, you never really fully recover. You just kind of keep a little bit of that buzz going in your life at all times. And you just wait for the next time that action at the Fraction will manifest, and it just kind of bubbles back up to the surface. But you can never really kill it.
Yeah. How many times did it trend on Wednesday?
Well, it got to number 1 in Atlanta. I think it ended at number 6. We were at number 2 during the game. So, it's just it's something we'll have to try to get trending again. Should Atlanta United host another match at Kennesaw this year? I don't know if they will, but if they do, now we know what to do. And, I kind of hope there's a couple weeks between matches where we can maybe convert a whole new legion of Twitter followers to the app.
There might be other events that might be appropriate for the hashtag, like when the Twos are playing in a couple of weeks. They've got
that's very true. Yeah. They might have a concert or a tractor pull or something like that.
Sounds like Kennesaw State's all about the action at the Fraction, as was the ESPN Plus broadcast.
Yeah.
That's the trends you guys are setting.
Well, it's a great hashtag. I don't know what to tell you. Give John credit. Give John credit. Boy, tough draw yesterday, though, right? Really, really tough draw.
Yeah, you got the one you didn't necessarily want out of the options. You'd have loved to have played the USL League One team. I think you would have loved to have gotten another crack at Charlotte, but you go to Nashville. Curious to see how they play it, because they've never been in the Open Cup before, and they will have had one home game before this one at their new venue. Curious to see how Gary Smith takes the Open Cup, and does he use it as an opportunity to rotate a squad, or does he go for it?
I think he goes. I
don't know. I honestly have no way to know that. I don't know.
I think the opponent changes everything.
Potentially.
I think if you have Atlanta coming into your stadium, you have a chance to set a tone for a league game that would follow 11 days later. I think they're going to be very, very aggressive.
I'm not sold on that yet. I don't know. And there's time between now and then that can change it. If they have injuries, if things get weird with a player struggling, like things can be different by the time we get to this match. I do think we can take away from what we saw from Atlanta United on Wednesday and the lineup that Gonzalo Pineda chose that he's more than likely going to go for it if he can.
If he can. Yeah. You're going to play Chicago the prior Saturday. And then actually, what kind of helps is you have New England the following Sunday. So you don't have like a goofy 2-day turnaround to a league game. It's actually kind of placed as well as it possibly could be. It's my understanding, I think Atlanta United is going to fly up the day of the game and come right back. So
to Nashville?
To Nashville. So it'll be set up.
What's that flight? I don't think I've ever flown to Nashville.
45 minutes, maybe?
Well, I got news for you. You're about to in a couple weeks.
Well, yeah, I know. I don't know the flight time.
I think it's a 35 to 40-minute flight. When they played Nashville,
that makes sense.
When they played Nashville in MLS play last July, Heinze flew them up the day of the game. And I think what I was told yesterday is it's probably going to be a similar deal this time.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to, it's not truly a home match, but it's going to feel a little bit like a home match because you don't have travel the night before.
That's really interesting because, you just go through the logistics of it. And on a normal trip, you're going the day before. You have to decide, depending on the kickoff time of the game, do you train at home the day you travel, or do you go earlier and train there? And we've seen both.
Mm-hmm.
But you have so many more logistics that you have to sort out when you're able, because the flight's less than an hour, to go the day of, and you're going from the training ground down to the airport, you're flying, it's a charter, you're in and out quick. The airport to wherever you're going to hang out, the hotel you're going to stay in for the afternoon, not far. Nashville's a very easy town to get around in. You go to the stadium, you get out. It does kind of feel like a home game, and it might be more accessible depending on where some of these guys live in Atlanta.
Right. Whereas if you played Richmond, you might have to dedicate, it's not a dramatically longer flight than Nashville, but you might have to dedicate a little more time to it.
And it's a stadium. Well, this is a stadium you've never been in, but the level of it. City
Right.
Stadium's a nice venue in Richmond. I was kind of hoping that might be the draw, but you don't know it as a club. You have no institutional knowledge. You're probably going to want to get up there and have a training session.
Right, exactly. So, it's, I think, the toughest break in terms of the opponent you could draw.
Yeah.
I think Nashville is one of the teams that's going to be favored to win the U.S. Open Cup this year. I absolutely, depending on how Gary Smith wants to approach it, I think that's a team that is very much set up to contend to win it. So is Atlanta. It's amazing to think this is a round of 32 matchup. This is a matchup of two teams that could easily meet in a semifinal, and they're going to have to meet in the round of 32. But I think you're right. I think Gonzalo Pineda against a third division team deployed a lineup that was very much intent on going out and winning and dominating because he takes this tournament very, very seriously. So I think Atlanta's intent for May the 11th will be very, very clear. Nashville, I think, again, anytime you have a chance to have Atlanta United come into your stadium, you're going to be playing to win.
And Mike, you got the chance to see Alex DeJohn get minutes. You got to see Dom Dwyer up top and have those moments, especially like the second goal that I know a lot of fans gravitated toward when he was signed, hoping that they would have moments like that. Ronald Hernandez getting minutes. So the depth that has been assembled for this club to be competitive in multiple competitions, you got what you were hunting for from a bunch of different folks in the match in the midweek.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's really, I think with Dwyer in particular, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this match. You can only take so much away from a match against a third division team, but I think Jason and I were in agreement on the broadcast Wednesday that Dwyer has established himself now as the starting center forward for this team until he loses that spot. He's now the incumbent based on what he did on Wednesday. So that's a huge, huge takeaway from this match. Robinson and the way that he handled the captaincy, I think, is also a big takeaway from this match. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot that you can really glean from a match like this. But I like the fact that you saw Dwyer taking attempts with confidence, really. The second goal was not a shot you're going to attempt unless you have a little bit of confidence. Tom Dwyer probably has never lacked for confidence in his career, but that's not a shot you take unless you think you can put it on frame.
Yeah, it's different. Like when you're not scoring a lot of goals, you're confident because of his personality, but maybe you're not confident in taking that shot. When you get a goal early in the game and a good goal at that, you're confident I'm going to let this rip because if I miss, it's okay. I got a goal on the board already.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I think it was big to see Hernandez put in a good shift because I honestly think he struggled a little bit at times in league matches to start the season. I thought it was really big for him to have a good shift. John, I never worry about that guy at all. He's so solid. Yeah, I'll give you a Hawks analogy. He's the DeLon Wright of Atlanta United. He's just so solid. Doesn't do anything flashy. You kind of forget about him a little bit because he plays behind one of the best players in the world. But he puts work in, and you don't have to worry about him making a mistake. And, that's DeLon Wright playing behind Trae Young for the Hawks, and that's Alex DeJohn playing behind Miles Robinson for Atlanta United. So I never really worried about DeJohn. I'm just glad that he was able to get his feet wet and get some minutes. I think Franco Ibarra, too.
Yeah.
Ibarra really gave Gonzalo Pineda something to consider and think about. Honestly, I thought that was, and again, you don't want to overdo it when you're talking about a NISA opponent, but I thought that was one of Ibarra's best matches ever with Atlanta United.
Agree.
Now again, factor the quality of competition. I thought Ibarra was great. I think SDH continues to play really well.
Yeah, he does.
And that's kind of one of the weird things in general about Atlanta United is you have a bunch of individuals who are, I think, playing really, really well right now. But as we saw in the Charlotte and Cincinnati matches, you can have a bunch of individuals playing well and still get a little bit unlucky. You were unlucky in those 2 league matches. You were not unlucky in the Chattanooga match. So I think it's just another demonstration of how close this team has been in those league matches.
So what do you think about the rumors about Rocco Rios Novo? Sounds like this is going to come to fruition with Rocco rejoining the team on loan again from Lanús, this time loan to the first team to be the number 2 behind Bobby Shuttleworth. We talked about guys that made sense. I didn't know if Lanús would be willing to part on a loan here. You get a loan, it makes all kinds of sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's great business for Atlanta United. And I honestly, Jason, I think the player who might benefit the most from this is Justin Garces, because now it ensures 100%. That Garces gets games.
Yeah,
and that was one of the tricky elements. And look, Garces, I'm sure, is going to go down to Fort Lauderdale this weekend. He's probably going to be with the first team for another week or 2 at least. But you don't want to put Justin Garces in a position where he is sitting on the bench and unable to develop by playing in game. Right. This now is the solution. I thought maybe it would be Ben Lundgaard because he's still out there and available as well. The fact that they were able to call Lanús and get this loan reportedly put together with Rocco Rios Novo, great job, Carlos Bocanegra.
Yeah, the relationship.
Great job maintaining that relationship with Lanús.
Yeah,
the Club Atlanta United has obviously very, very strong connection to over the years. Total win-win. And I think it's a win for Rocco as well. I think Rocco is going to get a chance to play up here. I really do.
It's possible. I'm not as convinced of that. I think.
Look at, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jason. Yeah. I just look at, all right, there are going to be some chances here. Like, do you play him against Pachuca? Do you give Shuttleworth a night off? Like,
yeah, something like that.
There will be opportunities where I think you might want to give Bobby a night off here or there. I'm not saying that Rocco's going to come up here and start 20 games.
Right.
But I think the way the schedule is going to align, and if you win on May, I keep forgetting, 10th or 11th up in Nashville, and you start to go on a little bit of an Open Cup run, it would make a lot of sense for Rocco Rios Novo to kind of supplement for Bobby Shuttleworth and give Shuttleworth a couple nights off here and there. So, I mean, at the end of the year, it might work out where Shuttleworth starts 30-some matches, but Rocco gets 5 or 6. And I think that would be a really good situation for him.
Yeah, that's where my head's at. Like, it could be a few like that. It is a progression for Rocco, and he's somebody that, look, we know was highly thought of last year. I think it really came down to the dollars and cents of the deal, because you did have Garces that you were going to bring in. You did have Reyes that you were going to sign to a pro deal. So was it worth a couple million? Up to 3 is what had been reported as the transfer fee in the original deal. Was it worth that at that point? No, probably not. Different situation now. And the fact that Lanús is willing to work with you and do another loan gives you another year to look at Rocco and compare him now directly with Justin Garces, with Vicente Reyes. And Rocco gets another opportunity to stick around. He might take that opportunity.
Right.
He might just do it, but he's going to be able to fight it out directly with guys. And there's still a transfer fee that would have to be sorted out with Lanús. And that does factor into the equation of the long term. But you just have security. You have competition behind Bobby. You have somebody that you were able to count on early last season, and he did fine. And you know that you can count on him if you have to. And he knows the system. He knows the style of play. He knows the staff.
Yeah, and he doesn't take an international spot, and he would give you the ability to preserve that season-ending injury designation until you want a little more clarity on how you want to use it. It buys you
possibly,
time.
Or you could use it for him, and you're great in cap space.
Exactly. It gives you flexibility.
Right.
So home run. I'm glad it worked out. Well, hopefully it works out. It's not confirmed by the club yet, but if it turns out to be true, great deal for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Couple things with the Miami match. Every game these teams have played have been decided by a draw or by a 1-goal margin.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Even
last year,
single time.
Even last year, when these teams met last year, they had the early meeting under Heinze in Miami. Joseph scored very early.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, conditions were a factor. It was middle of the afternoon, very, very hot. There were drink breaks.
Sounds familiar.
Atlanta United scored early and ran out of gas. Miami got the equalizer, 1-1. But, the matches that these teams played late last year, Atlanta United was a far superior side to Inter Miami at the end of the year once, Valentino and Pineda had kind of taken over and gotten things back on the rails. Miami was the side that was leaking oil at the end of the year. Atlanta was playing very, very well. And yet Atlanta United still needed a Joseph Martinez penalty at home to beat them on, I think it was September 19th of last year, if I remember correctly. Here, let me pull out my notes just to make sure. It was definitely in September. I want to make sure I remember the exact date. And then again, October 27th, 2-1. Miami, I think at that point was eliminated. Atlanta United was playing for seed, and that was not an easy match either. So
I think if I remember right, Miami was all but eliminated. I don't think they were officially out, but pretty much they
were resigned to their feet at that point.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So a couple things. This is an under the radar kind of, I hate to use the R word, rivalry, because I know that stirs emotions.
Oh, people get gatekeeping about rivalries for sure.
But Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty much all of the meetings between these two sides have been very physical and chippy.
Yep, 100%. It's been physical, it's been chippy, and it's been as even as a series as you could possibly find. 2 wins each, 3 draws. Each team has scored 7 goals. Each team's conceded 7 goals.
Well,
it is so dead even.
Right. And not only that, you've had instances where the losing team has played better than the winning team a couple times.
Multiple times.
Series.
Yeah.
You've also had a couple matches with very, very controversial officiating that there's just so much symmetry in this series. And we could get another one like that on Sunday. These matches are weird. These road early afternoon Sunday matches, especially in a stadium like that's not going to be very full, can get very, very weird and have a much different feel to it. And I'll be curious to see from an emotional standpoint where both teams are on Sunday, because Inter Miami had to win a difficult, emotional Open Cup match on Tuesday against a local opponent. They had to fight. They're coming off a huge win for them in league play out in Seattle, but they had to fly all the way from Seattle back to Miami and then play on Tuesday, which I thought was really unfortunate scheduling.
Thanks for that scheduling.
Yeah.
Miami FC got the home game, and they of course are going to pick it on Tuesday.
Of course. So where's the energy going to come from for both teams? Because I don't think there's going to be any kind of feel or vibe in that stadium.
I don't know about that. Actually, I don't know about that, Mike. I think that's a little harsh on the Miami fans. I think they're going to be fired up. I mean, is it going to be
the ones who are there will be?
Yeah, but I mean, come on, you're being a little rude to La Familia.
I don't think I'm being rude at all. I mean, look, their supporters are great. I'm not talking about their supporters,
but their supporters bring a lot of noise too.
They do, but do you honestly believe at 1:00 on a Sunday afternoon in Fort Lauderdale on a beautiful spring day that stadium's going to be more than half full?
Yes. More than half full? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I'll bet you coke on that one.
No, that's fine. I don't think it's going to be like a Gillette Stadium special where there's no vibe at all.
Not saying that.
But you're not going to have to worry about emotion in this. And it's honestly, I'm giving a lot of credit to the Miami supporters because of the kind of the culture that they bring. Even when it's not a huge crowd, there's going to be atmosphere. And that's a good thing. That's great. I do think the crowd will be decent. Will it be full? Probably not. Will it be more than half full? Yeah, I think it will be.
Okay, I hope so. I hope you're. And to be fair, I've never been in this stadium before. Every time we've called a game from that stadium, it's been off a monitor. So it is a little bit harder
that's true.
to judge off a monitor as opposed to being there live.
I like their fan culture. I like the sounds of that venue. So now we might not get the full, true, natural sounds of what we're hearing about the booth that we're going to be in. We'll have
thanks for reminding me. I have to text Gwen.
I'm all for sitting outside if we have to.
We'll
figure it out.
Might have to. Who knows?
It's all good.
Yeah. Anyhow, where was I going with it? It's gonna be it'll feel different because of the kickoff time and the venue.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, to Watchar's point, no, I'm not like beating my chest about attendance in any way, trying to claim superiority in attendance.
Narratives down here. I know they're rolling.
Boy, that got really, really feisty on Twitter yesterday, by the way. That got weird. Look, I was
Bird app.
Yeah, it happened. Look, I thought how do I put this about Wednesday night's attendance? I didn't even want to share an opinion on this, but I guess I'm already going down that road. It is, look, here's the reality. Really, really difficult to get to Kennesaw on a weeknight.
Took me 2 hours.
Took me, and I left here at 3:00, and it took me well over an hour to get up there. It is difficult.
Took me a good hour.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's not impossible. It's difficult.
Yeah, but it's an hour. It's 2 hours. It's an hour and a half. I mean, that's a long time.
You're playing a third division opponent, and you still have the place more than half full. And the fans who were there were loud. And one other thing, if you're watching on ESPN Plus, you're not seeing the stand that the benches, that side of the pitch.
You're seeing the near side.
That was pretty full.
It was.
We got lucky because in 2018 and 2019 and the Alo Lenze match in 2020, they packed the place. And maybe that set the expectation that that's what it has to look like, and anything less than that is going to be insufficient. It was still a really, really good crowd. And, if we're having arguments over that, then I think we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, seriously. I think Champions League is a different comparison than a game with Chattanooga FC. I mean, I think people in this fan base know the level Chattanooga FC is, and honestly, they might not even know that they've jumped up to the pro level, and they've actually jumped up a level from last time they interacted with Atlanta United, which was a preseason game when they were an amateur team. And I think everybody remembers that. So maybe there were some people who said, look, it's an hour plus for me to get there, maybe more depending on where I am in the metro, and I'm not going to be able to pull this off. And that happens. And look, attendances are different everywhere in the world right now, as we've all been going through a pandemic. Some people don't have as much, flexible spending money as they've had in the past, and things change. And every club's dealing with it. So your point about the view was very important, because the TV audience saw the opposite side, not the main stand. They saw the other stand, and it was not as full as the main stand. When we do games for Atlanta United 2, the camera angle is reversed. You're seeing the main stand. And in this one, you didn't. And it did look different in the building than it did on TV.
Right. Yeah. So that's all.
It's a game. It's an Open Cup game against a lower division opponent. And the important thing is you won. And the important thing, I think, is the people that did attend. And I always tell people to attend games at Kennesaw because you're so close to it. You can hear everything. It's a different vibe. And the players are going around like signing shirts and talking to folks afterwards. It's a special kind of a vibe. I think the people who were there enjoyed it. And there will be more people next time, because people who weren't there, look, if you wanted to be there and you didn't go for some reason or other, you did kind of miss out.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, it is, it really is great. I mean, I talked to someone who was sitting on the end furthest from us, who was in the second row, and he said you could hear the players communicating with each other all night. Referee communicating. It's really good. You're not going to hear it as well if the stadium's like super, super loud. But if you sit close enough, you're really going to be able to feel the match. So, look, the way it appears right now, I'm not exactly sure you're going to be there again this year, because if you were to win in the round of 32 in Open Cup, now you're in the round of 16, pretty good possibility you're going to play an MLS team.
Possible, but we did see it in 19, where was it quarterfinal that you had St. Louis?
Yeah, they played St. Louis. That is true.
Cup sets can happen.
Cup sets can happen. Would I have liked to have seen that place totally sold out on Wednesday? Yeah, absolutely. We all would. But it's a lot better than a lot of other stadiums we've had to call games in over the years, including quite frankly, this year.
Yeah.
I don't want to call teams out, and weather is a factor, but I mean, we did a match in early October where it's a home opener for a good team, and the crowd was not very good.
Early March, maybe?
Early March, yeah. Home opener for a good team, cold, but in a place that gets cold. And that stadium was less than half full. So, for an MLS game, by the way. So, I mean, if we're talking about Kennesaw not being as full as it needed to be for a NISA opponent, I still think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Miami's not going to have Gregory in this game. No, first yellow card accumulation suspension of the year.
Boy, by the way, that's an accomplishment to get suspended this early in the season for yellows.
Good work on you.
Wow. And do you know how he got it, by the way?
I don't remember.
Time wasting.
Oh, good job.
He got himself suspended for time wasting in Seattle.
Good job.
So, stuff happens, but I mean, be a little bit aware. And by the way, your team, be a little bit aware. Like, if you're going to engage in dark arts, maybe protect the player who's sitting on 4 yellows.
Yeah.
Unless Gregory was like targeted for a day off anyway.
Yeah, well, I would doubt that, because they have never won without him in the lineup since he joined the team. One draw, crazy. 4 losses.
That's a heck of a stat. And in fact, I think one of those matches was last year against Atlanta United. I feel like he was suspended for one against Atlanta last year too. That's a crazy stat, though.
I think that's right. Another crazy stat, at least crazy for some people on a Bird app. Of course, Atlanta's without Brad Gazan. 177 all-time matches in MLS for Atlanta United. Brad has played in 150 of them. Wow. So 27 games of Atlanta United's lifespan he hasn't played in. In those 150, Brad has had a clean sheet more than 1 in 3. 53 clean sheets out of 150 MLS appearances.
That's crazy. Wow. I mean, that just speaks so much to Brad. And I think Atlanta United will be fine with Shuttleworth, and I like the fact that Shuttleworth got low-pressure touches on Wednesday. Thought that was really, really good to see. But, boy, Brad is I'll say it, I think he's taken for granted, honestly. I think Brad's taken for granted by a lot of people up here. And, again, he was second in the league and not that far away from first in save percentage last season in MLS, starting all but, those middle 6 games during Gold Cup. And Alec Can played really well in his place, but that's another discussion. I think Brad has very much been taken for granted, and we're going to miss him, but I think Shuttleworth's going to be just fine. And the fact that Rocco's in the mix too makes me feel really, really good now, because Rocco has played in some high pressure matches already for Atlanta United and has done just fine.
All right, what's our broadcast plans for Sunday?
We'll be on the air 12:30, I think, Sunday afternoon from Fort Lauderdale. Drive Pink Stadium, 1 o'clock will be the kickoff. We'll have a brief full-time report afterwards, because I believe we are flying back. Plane. That's right. I'm going to try, hopefully, to get back to Atlanta in time for the Hawks game on Sunday. They also play Miami. You may have heard.
I've heard.
And the Braves play Miami, too.
What
are the chances? Yeah. It happens. I feel like We had one of those maybe last year with Atlanta, DC United, Wizards, and Nationals. I feel like it has happened before, that it's not without precedent.
I think so. Well, I can hate Miami for a weekend. I'm good for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll stop right now before.
Let's get Mike out of here before he gets in trouble.
I hate about Miami. I actually love Miami. I love
Miami. I'm going to hate your sports teams for a weekend. How about that?
Yeah, but great city. I really very excited to be down there tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes, we will. Thanks for hanging out, Mike. We'll see you.
Right,
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. See ya.
Be good.
Make sure you're following him, Mike Conti 929 on the social medias. All right, John, are you ready for this?
Oh, wait, hang on.
I'm not going to ask you like what it is because I tried to set you up for your own catchphrase and you couldn't hit it either time on Wednesday.
2 for 2.
I was really disappointed with that.
There you go.
You had your hype man Mike Conti setting you up for the catchphrase better than you were handling it.
It's true, yes.
I mean, I set it up on a tee for him when we did our little pregame Twitch and nailed it, hit a home run with it.
Absolutely.
So we might try that again from Fort Lauderdale. The one thing is I might not have one piece of equipment, but I think I can make it work otherwise. So I've invested in a couple of things, not big investments, but that's why I can't bid on the Diego Maradona match-worn shirt from the Hand of God game.
It's out of the blocks.
It's up to $5 million now. I can't bid on that because I've been investing in equipment for SDH and stoppage time and all the different things that I'm doing. So we are hopeful to try to pop on Twitch for like 10, 15 minutes or so after the lineup comes out. In games like this one where it's not a long pregame, I believe, actually, let me double check because you can't tell sometimes. When it's not a long pregame and we have a normal kind of 30-minute pregame and the lineups are out an hour before that, so we have about 30 minutes once the lineups are out to be able to talk about them briefly on a Twitch conversation. Yes, kickoff is at 1:08. We might be able to do that this time around. So stay tuned. We'll give you a heads up this time now that we've tested it and everything worked out okay. So be on the lookout for that. But right now, it's time, and I'm going to have to do a video and all this once we nail down the name and everything that has to happen with it. But it is time for the MLS Weekend Whiparound.
Dun, 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 dun. Dramatic pause in music.
Yes, we start Saturday, 3:00. Dallas hosting Houston. I'm going to ask you, John, without prompting you, but I'm going to try to buy you a little bit of time to pull up the odds on these games as I announce them. Dallas versus Houston, 3:00 Saturday. What are the numbers?
According to our friends at Odds Portal, and remember this is a composite of about 12 different juice box purveyors, FC Dallas at home is a -118. Your draw is a +254. Houston is a +330.
Okay. The home team, unbeaten in the last 15 meetings.
Wow.
Between these two teams. Dallas was the last to win on the road in this series in 2016. Dallas is unbeaten in 11 straight at home against Houston, dating back to 2013. Tied for its second longest regular season home unbeaten run against a single opponent. That was Colorado, 13 straight from 2002 to 2008. Dallas is unbeaten in 5 straight following a scoreless draw at the Red Bulls on Saturday. Houston are unbeaten in 5 straight following a scoreless draw with the Timbers on Saturday. And Hader O'Brien has 3 goals in 3 matches against Houston, including 2 last time they played in September. What you going with?
I'm going to go. What's the current streak for wins for the home side?
No, unbeaten in 11. Okay. 7 wins and 4 draws going back to 2013.
I like Dallas in this one for the win straight up.
I do too. I like Houston right now. Again, unbeaten in 5. That's big for the Dynamo, and they've actually gotten a couple of results on the road here lately. I don't think they do against Dallas. I think it's too big of a step up in competition. Yeah. I think Dallas gets it done at 3:00 on Saturday. Also at 3:00 on Saturday, the Philadelphia Union hosting Club de Foot Montreal. The Union come into this unbeaten in 5 straight against Montreal. 2-1 away win on March 5th included in that. 3 wins out of the 5. What are the numbers?
Philadelphia is a minus 154. Your draw is a plus 288. CF Montreal is a plus 423.
So Philly had a 5-match winning streak, ended with a 2-1 loss at Toronto on Sunday. They've won 3 straight at home. They've only lost 1 of their last 19 at home, dating back to May of 2021. They've won 14 of those. Incredible in Chester. Montreal's won 3 straight, including its last 2 on the road. However, they have never They've never won 3 straight away wins in MLS history, Montreal. Can they do it here? Philadelphia, last in MLS in possession. I know, you're shocked. Cincinnati is next at 41.6. Philadelphia is at 37.6, 4% less than the team that is 27th in possession. What does this mean about Philadelphia? It does not mean that they are allergic to the ball, but maybe they think that they are. However, and again, because they have very few of these, the percentages are a little out of whack. A league high 37.6% of the Union's passes have been in the attacking third. Now, that is 37.6% of passes of a very small number of passes, number one. So keep that in mind. But 37.6% of their passes are in the attacking third. It's not like they're getting the ball in the attacking third a lot and doing a lot of possession there. It's just they're skipping everything. They're just bombing it forward. They're not trying to keep the ball. 24.9 touches in the box per match. That's 8th in the league. Okay. So they're skipping everything. They're bombing it long. They're pressing. They're trying to turn you over. We know how Philly's going to play. Montreal, Romel Kyoto, 3 straight matches with a goal. That's the 5th time he's done that in his MLS career. 3rd time he's done that with Montreal. The last Montreal player to score in 4 or more consecutive matches was the man, the myth, the legend, Nacho Piatti. Respect that man. Acknowledge him for his greatness. He did it in 5 straight in August 2017. Who wins?
I got to go with Philly.
I do too. I don't like it, but I do. I like Montreal. I like what they're doing. I think they're going to be a tough out for Atlanta here in a couple weeks. But I think they're going to be coming into that match off of a loss in Philadelphia. And I don't think Romel Kyoto gets a goal. I think it is a very frustrating day for the former Montreal Impact. And Philadelphia does what they do. And Jim Curtin smirks about it. He's very happy. Minnesota and Chicago, 5 o'clock on Saturday. What are the numbers here?
Minnesota is a minus 104. Your draw is a plus 252, and the Fire are a plus 281.
Fire coming in after losing in penalties to Los Bujos of Union Omaha. Minnesota got through forward Madison and their 943 different jerseys. They had to pick one this game. They weren't able to get the win at home. Minnesota conceded 6 goals in their first 7 games this season. There's only 3 teams that have conceded fewer goals so far in 2022. Minnesota, defense. Those things usually don't go together. Minnesota had never conceded fewer than 11 goals through the first 7 games of a season prior to this year. They've been pretty bad defensively. They're not this year, though. They're very good. Speaking of defense, Chicago, they know it well. 4 scoreless draws this year for the Chicago Fire. They had their 4th against the Galaxy on Sunday. Neither team had a shot on target in that game. 2nd game in MLS history. 27 years in Major League Soccer. 2nd game ever to have 0 shots on goal. Seattle and Dallas accomplished that in 2015. Robin Lod, he had the go-ahead goal at the 77th minute on Saturday for Minnesota. 18th regular season goal since scoring his first in 2020. Half of Robin Lod's 18 regular season goals have come in the 75th minute or later. That's impressive. You talk about clutch gene. Robin Lod has it. Gabby Salanina turns 18 in May. He's got 9 clean sheets already in his career, the most of any goalkeeper prior to turning to 21. He's not even 18 yet, And he's got more clean sheets in MLS history than any goalkeeper under the age of 21. Don't know where that number is going to end up. We'll see how long he's in MLS first off. That's going to be a conversation. We'll see if the Polish national team can promise him all of the things to get him to represent them. I don't think he takes it. I think he represents the U.S. And I am not outside of consideration here to see Gabby Slonina in goal in the first World Cup game for the U.S. in Qatar. I don't think that's crazy talk. What are you picking, Minnesota or Chicago?
Neither. Draw.
You're picking a draw.
Because I just think that St. Clair and Slonina will keep it pretty close. It's either going to be goalless or 1-1. I think it's a draw.
I think it is a draw as well. I don't like it. I will probably skip over this game as I am planning my Saturday. Yeah. Maybe scoreless, maybe no shots on target. Maybe everybody is horrified by this, except for the goalkeepers who are very happy. We'll see. DC and New England, 7:30 on Saturday. Chad Ashton in charge with DC United. New England, they've won 6 straight against DC United. 5 of those were 1-goal wins, though. What are the numbers?
DC's a plus 138. Your draw's a plus 254, and the Revs are a plus 181.
DC's a favorite?
Yep.
After a coaching change?
Yep.
When New England's won 6 straight against them?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The hell?
Uh-huh.
All right.
I figured that would be your response.
New England's 6-game winning streak over DC, longest winning streak against any opponent in MLS history. DC's only had one worse than this. They lost 7 in a row to Philadelphia from 2017 to 2020. DC's lost 4 straight matches for the first time since they did this in 2020. Their last 2 losses have come on goals in the 90th minute or later. First team to have that happen to them since Houston in 2018. Carlos Heel has been good on the road lately. He's contributed to a goal in each of his last 5 away matches in MLS. 3 goals, 2 assists going back to October of last year. New England wins this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying anything other than that. I got to go New England, especially when they are a underdog to a team that just fired their manager. And I can't quite get what's going on in DC. The front office doesn't want to let the manager pick the team for the Open Cup game. The manager has angered some people who won't put their names to it. You have some players who came out putting their names to it in defense of the manager. And you had some players put their name to it who maybe it was a little bit of a backhanded defense at times of the manager. I don't know what's going on in DC, but I think there's bigger things afoot. And they've got some decisions to make long-term to fix these things, because I don't think it's clear-cut. You got some fans who are very angry. You got some fans who are like, no, it needed to happen sooner. You know, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. I don't think they win in chaos. I think New England wins.
I agree, and you can get DC as low as plus 129.
I'm not picking DC.
I know, but what I'm saying is that
I want to know the New England number. I don't care about the DC number.
The highest New England number that I can find is a plus 189.
Well, whoever created that probably needs to take a long nap and get.
But there are a lot, legitimately, in these now 16 that are in this composite. A lot of them are north of plus 180. 1, 2,
Chaos.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 16 main juice box purveyors have New England north of plus 180.
Chaos. Ridiculous. I think that might change before we get to kickoff. We'll see. Austin and Vancouver, 8:30 on Saturday. 2 times they've played in MLS history. Vancouver won both of them by a 2-1 score line last year. What are the numbers, John?
Austin's a minus 175 at Q2. Your draw is a plus 317, and your draw is a plus 457.
No, your win for Vancouver is plus 4.
Sorry, win for Vancouver is plus 457.
Yeah, about to say if we have 2 draw options, and there's no faith in Vancouver.
No,
I don't have much faith in Vancouver, but let's see what we can find out about this match. Austin, they came from 2-0 down to beat DC with goals in the 80th, 85th, and 90th minutes. They are the 6th team in MLS history to win a match after trailing by 2 goals entering the 80th minute. 6th team ever to do that. 5th in the regular season. Vancouver, they lost to Montreal on Saturday. They have 4 points. They have a -8 goal differential. Both the worst they have ever been in Major League Soccer in the history of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Maxi Urruti, he has owned the Vancouver Whitecaps in his career. 7 goals in 18 games, 3 more than any other team that he's played in MLS. Second most by any player against Vancouver in MLS history. And, of course, Chris Wondolowski holds that mark with 14 against the Whitecaps. He owned them. He's retired. Maxi Urruti is the new mayor of Vancouver. Brian White, talked about him a lot last year. We haven't talked about him much this year. First goal involvement of the season on Saturday against Montreal. Scored after the hour mark. White either scored or assisted on 15 of Vancouver's final 25 goals last season. Nothing this year until last week. I don't see how Vancouver wins this. I'm going with the home team, Austin.
Yeah, I'm going with Austin as well at Q2, and they continue their place high in the Western Conference standings.
I will pick against Vancouver until they prove that I should not be picking against Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to start to reconcile the fact that maybe the run at the end of last season was a giant surprise and was not sustainable, because same manager in charge, he got the permanent job, and it has not been the same team. And it's kind of the same team coming back, at least on paper. So what up? I don't know. They're not very good right now. Sporting Kansas City hosting Columbus, 8:30. Speaking of teams not very good right now, but what are the numbers?
Sporting at home is a plus 150. Your draw is a plus 237, and the Crew are plus 179.
Ugh. Sporting has owned Columbus a little bit. They've won 7 of 10 against Columbus since the start of the 2013 season. 1 loss in that, 2 draws. Sporting, however, has lost 10 of its last 13 games dating back to the end of last season. 6 of 8 to start this season. 6 points at this stage of the year for Sporting, tied for the 3rd fewest after 8 games in the club's history. They had 3 in 99. They had 4 in 2011. Columbus have lost 3 straight. They haven't scored in all 3 of those losses. 5th time in club history that they've lost 3 straight. They've never lost 4 in a row in MLS history, and the Crew have been there from day one. Maybe they do that this week. The Crew have attempted a total of 55 shots over these 3 games. They attempted at least 17 shots in all 3 matches that they've lost that they haven't scored in. They are the first team since Dallas in 2011 to take 17 or more shots in 3 straight games and not score. That's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it. Do they score against Sporting Kansas City? First question.
Yeah, I think
so too. I think so too. I think Sporting Kansas City's got problems.
Yes.
Do the Columbus Crew win in Kansas City?
No, they do not.
Does Sporting Kansas City win?
No, they do not.
What are you picking, John?
I'm picking right down the middle, brother. I'm picking a draw. Unimpressed with both clubs.
Yeah. I think Sporting wins at home, but I don't feel good about it. It's probably not going to be very good. Colorado and Charlotte, 9:00 on Saturday. The Rapids have lost consecutive regular season matches for the first time since October of 2020. Oof. What are the numbers?
Colorado at home is a minus 185.
Mm-hmm.
Your draw is a plus 312, and Charlotte is a plus 517 in the composite.
That sounds about right. Colorado have conceded 3 times in each of their conceded 3 times in each of those losses. Sorry, in their consecutive losses. First time they've allowed 3 goals in consecutive losses since 2019, and they'd lost 8 in a row at that point. That was the end of the Anthony Hudson era, if I remember correctly. It's the last time Colorado lost more than 2 in a row. Charlotte, 0 away points. 0, zilch, nada. They lost 2-1 at New England on Saturday. Charlotte, first expansion team to lose its first 4 away matches in MLS since Montreal in 2012. It's a long time. Montreal lost 5 in a row at that point. Diego Rubio scored in consecutive matches. Second time this season that he's done that. He did it in early March. He scored against Atlanta. Jordi Reyna, though, has done well against Colorado. Maybe he gets the start for Charlotte in this one. He has scored in each of his last 3 games against the Rapids when he was with Vancouver, 2017 to 2019. Does Charlotte get a point on the road, John?
No, they do not.
Do they lose by multiple goals?
That I don't think they do.
I think they do. I think they struggle in Denver, Commerce City, to be exact, for the first time in their trip there. I think they struggle. I think it is a strong win for the Rapids.
I think Charlotte gets to 0-5 on the road this year. I think that Świderski gets 1, and I think that Colorado get 2.
I think coming off of a Wednesday extra time game where some guys had to play more minutes than you would have liked, and some guys had to play
going to altitude
at all, then going to altitude. Look, I don't know if Christian Fuchs is ready for this. You might need an oxygen tank on the sideline. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I think it's ugly. I think it's really ugly. We'll see what happens. Because remember, Colorado did not play in the midweek either because they are not in this round of the Open Cup. They join next time. All that lines up to banging on that Colorado favorite number a lot. Portland, RSL, 10 o'clock Saturday. Timbers won all 4 against RSL in 2021, including the Western Conference Final. Can they do it again? What do the odds makers think?
Portland's a -123. Your draw's a +277. RSL is a +323.
Yeah, that feels about right. 14-4 was the aggregate score in those 4 games for Portland against RSL last time out. Second team in the last 15 years to play somebody 4 or more times, including the playoffs, and win every meeting. It's hard to do. Portland did it. They lost their last home match, though, 3-1 to the Galaxy. They have not lost 2 in a row at home since September of 2019. Wow. RSL, well, there's a lot of wows in losing 6-0 at Yankee Stadium. Largest margin of defeat in RSL's club history. Sebastian Blanco, though, has done very well against RSL for Portland in his MLS career. 7 goals, 7 assists. That's a lot. No other team has done what he has done against RSL since entering MLS in 2017, since Blanco arrived. RSL conceded 6 goals. 3 of those against NYC were on set pieces. 2 penalties. Penalties are included in set pieces. 1 corner. Only league worst San Jose has conceded more set piece goals than RSL in 2022. Does RSL bounce back here?
No.
Portland wins.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just kind of tough for RSL to go from getting spanked without abandon by NYC and Tati Castellanos, and then going into the midweek and then losing in the Open Cup with a heavily rotated group, and then going to Portland and they didn't play in the midweek and they didn't get spanked with abandon by Tati Castellanos and NYC the week before. So, yeah, I think Portland takes care of business.
Yeah.
San Jose, Alex Cavello is the coach right now. They are hosting the Seattle Sounders, who have other things on their mind at the moment. What are the numbers here?
San Jose is a +142. Your draw is a +256. And Seattle is a +177.
This is a very hard one to pick because of Seattle's distractions. The Sounders are unbeaten in 8 straight at San Jose, though. 4 wins, 4 draws. They've won 4 of their last 5 times. Only one longer road unbeaten streak by one team against a single opponent in MLS history. Kansas City, 11 straight against New England from 2000 to 2007. I don't know if this streak continues. I'm not 100% sure. San Jose, though, has a team record low 3 points through 7 games this year. They are the 12th team in MLS history to go winless through the first 7. Doesn't happen very often. San Jose's pulled it off. Seattle, 3rd loss of the season on Saturday against Miami. They didn't reach 3 losses last year until game 17. They lost to San Jose in that one. The 1-0 loss to Miami is also the 3rd time Seattle failed to score this season. They didn't reach that until July 31st last year, game against San Jose. Jeremy Ebobisse, he has scored at least 1 in 3 straight games. 2nd time he's done this in his MLS career. He's got braces in each of his last 2. Seattle, because of their distractions with CONCACAF Champions League and injuries, they have used an MLS high 23 different starters this season in MLS play. 17 players they've used as subs. That ties Atlanta for the most in MLS. Arriaga is the only Sounders player that has started all 6 of their league matches. This is a really tricky one to pick because of all the different elements to it. What are you going with, John?
I'm going with a draw here.
Okay.
In talking with Nico, and for those that have not had the chance, our Thursdays with Nico Moreno interview is on the network. So do your scrolling and catch up. Nico thought that the lineup that Schmetzer would put up against San Jose would be stronger than the one going up against Inter Miami, getting ready for Champions League. So I think that I think it's going to be a little bit of a stronger lineup, but I think the result will be one step away from what happened with Miami. I think it'll be a draw.
It's a really tough one. I will go draw as well, just because there's so many different variables in it. They might cancel each other out a little bit. I think San Jose will be much tighter defensively than they've been, but they're going to have some issues at times. And I wonder what that contributes to them going forward, because it's going to be very different if Covello tries to make dramatic changes, as Chris Leach kind of hinted at. And Seattle, they've got to look forward to CONCACAF Champions League. I mean, yeah, they want to field a strong lineup, but can they go complete first choice here? Probably not. Not with that game in the midweek coming up. So I'll go draw. I'll go 1-1. I think they get goals, but I think it's a 1-1. LA Galaxy in Nashville, 10:30 Saturday night. What are the numbers here?
Galaxy are a -105. Your draw is a +252, and Nashville is a +286.
Intriguing. Galaxy have won 2 of their 3 home games. They lost the other one. They finished 2021 with just 1 win in their last 8 at home. It's one of the weirder numbers from last season. 5 draws in those last 8 at home at Dignity Health Sports Park. They haven't won consecutive home games since a run of 3 straight, like last July, August. This is the last of the opening 8 games on the road for Nashville. They will open the new stadium on May 1st. Since the start of last August, 22 of Nashville's 29 MLS matches since August 1st of 2021, 22 of 29 have been on the road. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Chicharito, no goals against Chicago, no shots on goal. Nobody had a shot on goal in Chicago in that game. He has not gone consecutive MLS starts without scoring since he had 3 straight without a goal in May/June of last year. That's pretty wild. And that's the only time since he joined MLS that he has failed to score in consecutive starts. That's pretty wild. Hani Mukhtar, 2 goals against San Jose. He scored twice in that game, his 10th game, including playoffs, with multiple goal contributions since the start of the 2021 season. So go back to the beginning of 2021, multiple goal contributions in a game. Hani Mukhtar's got 10, more than any other player in MLS in that period of time. Mukhtar might be one of the most underrated players in MLS for what he's doing. Just incredible performances. And I will, when we get to the fantasy section, and I will go ahead and preview it now, I will take a victory lap on captaining Hani Mukhtar last week and saying that he's somebody to look at. I got one right. I didn't get enough right to win my head-to-head matchup, but I had a good week. I'm happy with it. What are we taking here, Nashville or LA Galaxy? Or are you taking the John Nelson special draw?
It might be the John Nelson special, because you look at, Nashville has acquitted themselves on the road very, very well. They're 3-2-2 this year. And they've only surrendered, with Joe Willis in net, they've only surrendered 8 goals in 7 matches. So that's, a little bit of 1+. And then goals surrendered by LA in their 7 matches have only been 6. So I'm leaning toward another Gary Smith special, somewhere in the neighborhood of a 1-1, 2-2 draw with these 2.
I don't want to do it, but I'm really leaning towards it. No, I'm going to go Galaxy win.
Okay.
I'm going to go the Galaxy win at home. Let's move to Sunday, 3:30, Orlando, New York Red Bulls. What are the numbers?
Orlando's a +135. Your draw's a +224. Red Bulls are a +210.
Red Bulls won both games with Orlando last year, 2-1 wins home and away. First set of consecutive wins by either team in this series goes back 15 matches since Orlando came in 2015. Orlando, back-to-back wins for the first time since early last October. This is Orlando's second winning streak in its last 33 games. They haven't, and it's 2. They haven't put together streaks very often over the last year plus. Okay. Red Bulls won their first 3 on the road of the season for the first time in club history. They could become the 3rd team in MLS history to win their first 4 on the road in a season. The only club who's ever done it is the LA Galaxy. They did it twice, in 1996 and 1998. Nobody's won their first 4 on the road in MLS history since 1998. The Red Bulls could do it and could really do it in this game. Like, I can buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando City, they are the team that is getting all of the fouls called in their favor. They won an MLS high 28 fouls in the attacking third this season. Junior Ursa, Mauricio Pereira have earned 5 fouls in the attacking third this season. Red Bulls have committed the most fouls in MLS this season. Averaging 20 fouls per game. That's absurd. Since Opta began this kind of detailed coverage in 2010, over a full season, the highest mark of fouls in a season was actually last year. It was NYC. 15.7.
Blow that one out.
The Red Bulls are averaging 20 fouls per game right now.
25% increase.
This is a weird one. What are you picking?
I'm going with Red Bulls. Orlando City had to play Tampa Bay midweek in Open Cup, having to turn around with that. Red Bulls with Coronel in net, undefeated on the road this year. I'll go with Red Bulls.
I'm going with Red Bulls as well. They did have to go to Hartford in the midweek in Open Cup. They didn't have to go to extra time like Orlando did. And yeah, those foul numbers jump out at you a little bit, especially Orlando earning fouls in the attacking third and having guys who can take advantage of it with Pereira. But they're also a team that, when they get fouled a lot, can have some meltdowns at times. Maybe not as much now that Nani's gone, but still, it's happened. I need to see that they can handle the onslaught of the Red Bulls and the kicks and sticks and whacks and who knows what else the Red Bulls break out in this one. I think the Red Bulls get a win on the road. I think they go to 4 straight on the road with wins. Cincinnati, LAFC, 5 o'clock Sunday. What are our numbers?
Cincinnati's a plus 257. Your draw is a plus 281. LAFC's a minus 105.
Yeah. That's a large home dog.
Mm-hmm.
However, FC Cincinnati, their draw with Atlanta ended a run of 22 straight without a draw. That's crazy. Going back to last August with their last draw. Cincinnati has avoided defeat in 3 of its last 5 matches after an MLS record 14-match losing streak. It's a step in the right direction. Ismail Tajori-Shradi became the 4th player to record multiple goals off the bench this season with his strike against Kansas City on Sunday. Both of his goals this season have come from outside the box. He scored 10 goals from outside the box in the regular season since joining MLS. Only Zelarayan of Columbus has more goals from outside the box in that period of time. You going with LAFC?
Yep.
Yeah, I am too. Sorry, Cincy. They had to sweat it out a little bit more, even though they were at home against Pittsburgh. LAFC didn't really have to sweat it out too much. I think they're going to be fine. I think LAFC wins on the road.
Mm-hmm.
New York City, Toronto. What are the numbers? 5 o'clock Sunday.
I'm going to push these numbers to the end of your statistical discussion for effect, please.
Oh, boy. Toronto, unbeaten against NYC over the last 2 years. 1 win, 2 draws. I mean, they've only won 1 of the 3, but anyway. 2-1 win at home, including that 2-1 win at home on April 2nd. Toronto's only lost 2 of its last 10 away matches against NYC. 5 of those have been draws. So they've only won 3 times. They've lost 2, 5 draws. Okay. New York City, largest margin of victory in the club's history with the 6-0 win over RSL. 10 goals in their 2 wins this season, but 1 goal in their other 4 games this season. A draw and 3 losses. Tati Castellanos, first player for NYC to ever score 4 in a match. Castellanos, 26 goals since the start of last season, more than any other player in the league in that time, including the postseason. Alejandro Pozuelo scored the game-winning goal for Toronto in their 2-1 win over Philadelphia on Saturday. When he scores, Toronto is won 15 of 22. 5 draws in that. 2 losses in that, including the playoffs. As Pozuelo goes, Toronto goes. What are the numbers?
Well, first and foremost, NYCFC is playing this one at Citi Field this weekend.
Okay.
They have played home matches this season at Bank of California Stadium in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Pratt & Whitney Stadium in Connecticut.
Yep.
Red Bull Arena in New Jersey.
Yep.
Yankee Stadium in the Bronx.
Yep.
And now they go to Flushing, Queens to play at Citi this weekend.
Okay.
Your numbers. NYC is a minus 286.
Okay.
Your draw is a plus 412. Toronto FC is a plus 751.
Holy crap.
That's why I pushed the numbers to the end.
What do they know? You're missing Jaden Nelson. He got suspended. He should have been red carded. I don't know what else you could be really missing here. I'm baffled by this one.
I am too.
I'm going to look really quick at see if Toronto's notes are posted. They are not always the most informative, but let's see if they're missing. They're missing Jaquil Marshall-Rudy. They're missing Noble Okello. They're missing Ralph Priso. They're missing Jaden Nelson. So they are missing quite a few people. But still,
a plus 750.
I'm scared by that.
I ain't touching this one.
I mean, you have to touch it because you have to make a pick, John. You don't get to default here.
I know. What I'm saying is, if I had an option to put juice boxes on it, this is a game I would not touch. I will give you what I think is going to happen. But
what's your pick?
I think that with all those folks missing, I think NYC wins, but I think it's a 1-goal match because of Citi Field and all of its quirks. And
why is it quirkier than Yankee Stadium?
Well, I'm just
it's
because
there's no extra quirks.
You're playing in someplace different. It's just a different mentality.
They've done that every game this year. What does that mean?
I just think that it's going to be a 1-goal. I think it's going to.
I don't think it's a 1-goal game. I think NYC wins handily. I'm a little worried about that margin there, but I would have picked NYC regardless. I'm a little worried about the gap there. Just wondering what is out there that we don't know, but it's all slanted towards NYC, even more likelihood of winning. So I'm going NYC to win. I don't know if it's going to be close.
Yeah. So I think it's NYC, but I think it's close. You think it's NYC, but it's not close.
Yeah, I'm not buying the closeness. All right, that is the Whiparound, but we do have the fantasy stuff to talk about as well. Let's get into that. Make sure you're following ATL Ryan Walked on Twitter. Ryan Walker puts these together for us. Sponsored by the Jason Wright Agency. Make sure you're following at Jason Wright AGEN on the Twitters. You can look it up on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well. Ryan Walker puts together your notes. His locks of the week, and we'll go defense first. Dane St. Clair, $6.8 million versus Chicago, 9%. Both teams good defensively. Strong likelihood of a scoreless draw here again. St. Clair has a good value to him here. I'm a little surprised he's not owned by more, and going up against Chicago. St. Clair's at home. Chicago hasn't scored many goals this year. Yeah, that's a pretty strong lock.
I'm right there with you. I'm posting my lineup to the Twitch pitch right now.
Okay, well, you do that.
Yeah.
The offensive lock is Sebastian Driussi against Vancouver. We talked about how Vancouver has struggled this year. Driussi's at $10.6 million. This game is in Austin. He's owned by 12%. Tied for the league lead in goals, most of which have come at home. No Ryan Gauld for Vancouver. So, yeah, you can expect, as Ryan thinks, Austin dominate. Driussi to see plenty of opportunities. Agree with all of that. Very strong play there for Sebastian Driussi. I like the locks this week. The considers defensively. Lucas Estevez, $8 million versus Charlotte, 2% owned. You can have a few questions about Colorado. I get it, but Lucas gets forward pretty well. He's got 3 assists on the year, as Ryan points out. I don't think Charlotte is a good team on the road in general.
No.
I don't think they're necessarily a high-scoring team on the road either. Yeah, I like that pickup a lot, and he's only owned by 2%. So I really like Lucas at home here for Colorado against Charlotte. Consider also Colorado, Jack Price, $9.3 million in the midfield. Great on set pieces. You know he's going to get some of those against Charlotte. He's only owned by 1%. You're looking for a differential kind of pick. Price owned by 1%, where you're going to get some set pieces against a team where they've never won on the road in their history. Yeah, I like that a whole lot. I like that more than Lucas Esteves. I like Jack Price as a considered pick for sure. Now, value picks. We'll start offense first this time. We talked about Sebastian Blanco and all he has done against RSL in his career. Only 6.3 million, only owned by 2%. Now, he played the most minutes he's played all season last week, 82. He has not been a regular. He might not need to be a regular against RSL. He's owned RSL. He's owned them. If Maxi Urruti is the mayor of Vancouver, Sebastian Blanco is the governor of Utah. So even if he doesn't start, it still could end up being a good play because he's only 6.3 million and he's only owned by 2%. I love the Sebastian Blanco pick. Value on the defensive side, Nathan for San Jose against Seattle. He's only owned by 1%. This one's a little trickier. Now, he has been a fantasy favorite. That is true. This is a game that's a little hard to pick because of Seattle, because of San Jose's coach, because of Seattle with CCL. There's so many different things. Maybe they get the new coach bounce. Maybe they don't. Maybe Seattle fields a less than strong lineup. Maybe they don't. You might want to have an option there, but Nathan as a possible against Seattle, maybe you want to see the lineups get posted first for Seattle.
Yeah.
If they're not at full strength, I like that pick more. I don't love that pick right now. I love the Jack Price pick. I love the Sebastian Blanco pick. I love the Sebastian Drusi pick. I like the Dane St. Clair pick. I kind of like the Lucas pick. I don't really like the Nathan pick unless Seattle doesn't go with a strong lineup. If they do go with a weak lineup, then yeah, I might be tempted to make that change.
Yeah, I posted my lineup, but yeah, I had Lucas in it right now. I've got Driussi in it right now. I also added Cascante from Austin at the back because of Vancouver. Went with two from Colorado going up against Charlotte with Lucas and Abubakar defensively. Brandon Bai is a part of mine. Carlos Heel is a part of mine, considering New England's playing DC. I've got Mukhtar, and I've also got Vela and Tati as well.
Storm Chaser Kevin with a good question. He says, Bobby Shuttleworth a lock for fantasy. Only 4.8 million. Being the backup, that number's really low. He's on the road, so it's a tougher one. I don't know if I'd put him as a lock, but I'd absolutely consider it.
Yeah.
Just it's the fact that he's on the road. But as we talked about with the series, the games have always been tight, and they haven't really been high scoring. So, yeah, I kind of like that pickup, Kevin. I really do. You've got a few goalkeeper options here. I mean, Slonina is more expensive, but he's been pretty rock solid this year. You've got some other possibilities too. But Shuttleworth is definitely one to consider if you like Atlanta against Miami.
And yeah, I mean, no, I had Knighton right now in net because of New England playing DC, and he's at 5.1, where Shuttleworth's at 4.8.
Yeah, Ryan says you definitely want to see that lineup with Seattle. You want to have a shift plan in mind in terms of Nathan with San Jose. It's on the road. Seattle's on the road. It's late in the game week. You need to have a backup plan if you like the Nathan idea. That would be the one I would say. And then talking about the last part was about Shuttleworth. My bad. On the road pretty late in the game week. And he says, I'd play him on the front end of a keeperoo and follow up with Sean Johnson probably. So keep those things in mind when you're thinking about your fantasy picks. Questions on the Twitch pitch. If you got them, throw them in like right now because we're about done. Burned says, are the refs finally calling the Red Bulls fouls because they've always committed a ton of them? Seems like yes. It seems like yes. We'll see if that continues. Hopefully it does. GH brings up that Matias Almeida reportedly heading to Greece with Ike Athens. It's not definite yet, though, but it sounds like he is in the running there. Not done yet. but it is possible. Jarrett would, of course, pick RSL, Ricky. It's true, but I can't pick somebody who lost 6-0 and then lost in the Open Cup to a third division team. I can't pick them at all. Can't do it. No. Sunday, no, the match is not on Bally, Shiva. It's on ESPN. John Champion and Taylor Twellman and Jillian Sakovitz will be on the sideline for that
Very
one.
nice.
And you can listen to it on radio on 92.9 The Game. We'll be there. We will be there for you. Okay, so questions, throw them in on the Twitch pitch. We will get to them. John, don't scroll back because you might hurt yourself.
Okay.
Don't do that. Unless you had something that you really wanted to bring up that was asked before that we haven't talked about.
No, I'm not going to do that so I don't hurt myself.
Okay. You sounded like you might have had something.
Well, I mean, Amelia was wondering about, can people really get excited with Chicago's style of play? Disclaimer, he watches Serie A.
Yeah. No. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of Chicago yet this year. Maybe it's because of their style of play that they haven't exactly been a first choice for me. You got to build from somewhere. And when you hire a defender as the coach, it's not crazy to think he's going to build from the back to the front. Okay, that's fine. It's early. They've gotten results. I can't hate on that at all. Shaqiri has been injured. Okay, let's see what they can do when they get more around him. It's fine as a starting point. I don't think long term it excites the fan base of the Chicago Fire, but it's better than losing. So it's I can't hate on it. I honestly can't. 4 scoreless draws is a lot though, and they've been fairly defensive. So I did watch a little bit of the game last time out against Dallas, or 2 weeks ago against Dallas, and it was bad weather at Soldier Field, and it was kind of ugly. I was not enthralled in the first half that I watched of that before going to Audi Field when I was in DC. So, not enthralling at the moment, but maybe that will improve as they get the defense right and Ezra Hendrickson builds from the back to the front. We'll see. Le Parisien is reporting that PSG is going to offer Kylian Mbappe a 2-year deal plus a 1-year option, 50 million euro per year, a loyalty bonus of 100 million euro to be received when his contract is completed. That's what they're going to put in front of him. Man, that's going to be hard to say no to because it's not a long-term deal, and he's young, and he could still go to Real Madrid whenever he wants, and that is a boatload of money. That's going to be tough to say no to.
Plus the loyalty, loyalty bonus at the end.
Yeah, when you're going to Real Madrid, 100 million euro richer at the end of it. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough to say no to. A couple other bits of news worldwide while you guys are firing off a couple of things in the Twitch pitch. Aubameyang, 9th goal in 11 La Liga games. Barcelona bounces back with a win at Real Sociedad. They're second in the table. Ter Stegen with a big save on Sorloth. Isak fired another chance wide for Real Sociedad. Big win for Barcelona, and also a big opportunity today for the Barcelona Femenina. They are hosting Wolfsburg in the Champions League. Remember, last time out in the Champions League, quarterfinals against Real Madrid, 91,553 fans at the Camp Nou. Wolfsburg, next opponent, semifinals of the Champions League, sold out completely as well. Just over 24 hours for tickets to be on sale before they were gone. Barcelona trying to complete a quadruple. They're the current Women's Champions League holders. 4th time they meet Wolfsburg in the competition. The German side has won their last 3 Champions League games against Barcelona, though. Most recent victory was 2020. Caroline Hansen, Barcelona forward, said, "It's a good sign that everyone who was there, talking about last time, had a good time, had a lot of fun, and enjoyed the experience a lot. I trust that everyone wants to have this feeling again, and because of that, they will return." And that's why the Camp Nou will be sold out again. 99,354 seats. That's the capacity at Camp Nou. We'll see if they squeeze in a few more folks from the 91,553 last time. But that game is today. Think you can watch that on YouTube?
Yeah, I think you can. 12:45 is the kick there. But yeah, traditionally, I think that those Champions League matches have been on YouTube.
Yeah, very cool that it's followed up because, like I said last time, like as a one-off against Madrid in a Champions League game, yeah, I can see how they'd sell those tickets. That's great. I don't think 30,000 of these are going to Wolfsburg fans either, like their time in the Europa League recently that Xavi was really ticked off about, as he should be. I think this is legit. It's a credit to this team that is a really fun team to watch. It's a credit to people enjoying the last experience and probably coming back. And it's a credit to them being able to follow it up. That was my concern, was that you'd have this against Madrid and then you'd have, playing in the small venue again and have 5,000 or 2,000, or playing in the big venue but only having like 20 or 30. To do it back to back, you're starting to create something. You're starting to create momentum. It's not just a one-off. That's awesome. And this is a team that, if you've got time this afternoon and you want to see the top of women's soccer, watch Barcelona. Fun team to watch. They are maybe the most pure Barcelona team. Like the essence of Barcelona and what they want to do as a club on the pitch. It might be the women that are doing that the most right now. I think Xavi will get the men there. I think he's doing a great job. But what this women's team does at Barca, it's just a joy to watch. So if you get a chance, check that out. But it won't be easy against Wolfsburg. It won't be an easy game. It should be a great match.
And just reminding folks in the Twitch pitch that it's 12:45 on YouTube. And Byrne mentions that he read this morning, 2014, they played Wolfsburg at home in the Champions League in front of 800 fans. 800. And now today it's over 90,000. And that is tremendous.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. YouTube 1245 is where you can check that out. Wolfsburg, and this is cool because it starts to trickle around, and this is the important thing. Wolfsburg have sold over 15,000 for their home match against Barcelona next week. That's cool. Are they going to, are people going to see this and say, hey, we got to go support our women's team? I hope they do. Mm-hmm. And I hope this is where it starts to change and this becomes more common. Because if it's a one-off, it's great, but it doesn't have staying power. Where it starts to enact change, where it's, hey, this is what we do for our team, and this is what we do when we see other teams doing this. It's awesome. So be on the lookout for that one today, 12:45. Put some time in, try to check that one out if you can. If not, check out the highlights because it should be a really fun one. I think that's going to do it. Anything I missed?
No, just one quick thing from Burnt. We were discussing Chicago and dual national drama. He says, Burnt says, I think Slonina prefers to compete against Zach Steffen and Matt Turner for a national team #1 spot than against Wojciech Szczesny.
Well, I think he has more, and it's not even so much that Chesney's unbelievable. I think there's just a much clearer path for him right now because, there's no telling what Steffen and Turner are doing in the second half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a clear path to him starting in a World Cup match. I think there is. I don't care that he's young. I don't care any of the other things that people will say. Oh, he's in MLS. Oh my gosh. I don't care. He might be the best guy to start. If he is, start him. And I honestly don't think Greg Berhalter will have a problem with that if he's the best guy to start.
Yeah.
So let's see where it goes. Chesney is a little bit older. I mean, that could grab your attention if you're Slonina, but honestly, when you get down to it, which national team has a more promising immediate future with this generation?
Yeah.
Poland's pretty good, but the U.S. is really looking strong too, with a lot of young talent. A lot of guys a little bit older than Slonina, but a lot of young guys, Slonina's age, around that too, that are on the way. So I think he might want to stick with that group. I think he will. I don't think he goes to Poland. I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, no, I think that Slonina stays here with the United States. That pretty much wraps up what is on the Twitch pitch. Ricky Ricardo wanted to shout out Noah Cobb for getting attached to the youth national team, and I'll shout out Chris Ashley for starting out fantasy 6-0. There you go.
Very nice. Noah Cobb called into the U19 group. It's a camp. Tyler Wolf was called into the U20 group. That's a camp preparing for the upcoming CONCACAF U20 championship that will also double as a World Cup qualifying and Olympic qualifying for 24. Very different setup. So I am sure there are reporters at the training ground today, Shiva. They are always there. So we'll probably hear comments from Gonzalo Pineda. I think training was at 10:30, so we're probably getting somewhat close in the 12 o'clock hour, I would assume, So be on the lookout on Twitter for anything Gonzalo has to say. You can find that later on Atlanta United's social media and on their YouTube page. And then heading down to Fort Lauderdale tomorrow. Be on the lookout on our Twitch pregame. We might do it before the lineups come out. If we get set up and we're there early and we just have time to do it, we won't have the lineups. I kind of like to do it when we have the lineups and we can give you a little bit more reaction to it than we can give you in the first segment of the pregame show. But stay tuned on our Twitch. We'll try to give you a heads up this time on Twitter and places if Mike and I are able to go live from Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Atlanta United and Inter Miami, the most even series you can possibly find ever. 2 wins each, 3 draws, 7 goals each. It is even.
Mm-hmm.
See if the Five Stripes can get a win in Fort Lauderdale. We'll talk to you at 12:30 on 92.9 The Game. We'll have the full-time report, but it'll be short because we got a plane to catch. And then we'll be back like for dinner on Sunday, which is weird. The whole timing of this is going to be weird.
Well, maybe David Beckham will be with you for both of them.
Maybe. I don't think he's going to be on our flight. That'd be very weird. But he's probably got his own plane that might fly faster or something. Who knows? He's kind of rich and stuff. Maybe he comes up for the Miami Heat game. I don't know. Maybe he already came up. Maybe he's not going to even be there for the game. I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out. He didn't go to the Open Cup game.
I know.
Maybe he wasn't offered a fancy suite at the Miami FC Stadium.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to accommodate Mr. Beckham, and he said, "You know what? I'm just going to go watch somewhere else."
Programming note, Ian Cameron, head coach of South Georgia Tormenta. We're getting ready for a 1v1 with him. That'll be on the network later this afternoon. And obviously this weekend, we'll have a Twos review. Twos are in Pittsburgh this weekend, taking on Bob Lilly and the Riverhounds at Highmark Saturday night. And then we'll have Salty after the match in Fort Lauderdale.
Good times. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. Thanks for checking out everything yesterday in our deconstructed SDH show in 3 different segments. Hopefully that worked for you. Sometimes we gotta do what we gotta do sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll be back on Monday with an Overreaction Monday episode. Until then, much plot, y'all.
Much plot, y'all.